Ladies and gentlemen, we now direct your attention to Commissioner Kuhn's box, situated at the home plate side of the Reds dugout, where the ceremonial first pitch will be thrown out by the widow of the inspirational leader of the 1961 National League champion Cincinnati Reds, Mrs. Fred Hutchinson.
Patsy Hutchinson will throw out the first ball. What a lovely lady. Johnny Bench will take one more. Baseball certainly remains a big part of the Hutchinson family. Jack, the second of the three sons and one daughter, one time played in the Red system, is now the assistant director of stadium operations for the Brewers. Rick, the oldest son, a former player at Florida State. And right behind him, one of the Hutchinson boys. Chub Feeney next to Patsy. Doesn't seem possible that Fred has been gone since November 12, 1964, but certainly memorialized with the Cancer Research Center in Seattle. There go the Reds. Tony, it's amazing when you look at this field, and Marty, you've seen it so often. The rain came down, that big squeegee comes out, and look how dry it is.
It's Italian. You should have pronounced it. What is it called? A Zamboni?
Zamboni machine. And, Joe, you and I were talking before the broadcast tonight that they have never had an official game rained out here. They had a second game of a doubleheader a few years back. They had a game stopped at the end of 5 innings last year, a tie game with Atlanta, but never an official date rained out since they moved in here in 1970.
Fred Norman, a little guy who was used in middle relief, he and Billingham kind of swap positions. He's digging it out there, boy. Get him a rake and a shovel. Tony, I know that Larry Shepard, the pitching coach, you were there visiting with him. And looks like before he starts, he's going to be like the doctor. He's going to have everything ready. You talked to Larry Shepard about Fred Norman.
Right, I asked Larry about his pitching style. He's been very consistent for the Reds. We talked to him before the ball game, and here's their pitching coach, Larry Shepard.
Well, he has all the pitches, Tony. I think that with the curveball, the screwball, the fastball, the straight change, plus the fact that he has control of all his pitches, and I think this is going to give them trouble.
I don't know about you, Tony, but my favorite shot of these four is the one in the upper right-hand corner, because I like to know what that pitcher's looking at when he starts to throw. And Norman, like a lot of them, and this shot proves it, they look down at the ground. Watch when he delivers. No, he was looking straight ahead that time. Time before he did. That'd make me feel better as a hitter, wouldn't you?
They say he has a little bit of a problem when he tries to nibble too much. If he tries to be too cute, tries to nibble on the corners, he can get behind. We heard Larry Shepard talk about his screwball, slow curve. And I think his fastball is more deceptive sometimes, Marty, than people give him credit for.
It is, Tony, because of his off-speed pitches. You mentioned his screwball and his curveball, and when he gets those pitches over and they're working effectively for him, his fastball is deceptively quick.
Would you expect a lot of ground balls if he's got his good stuff?
Absolutely, Joe. And Tony mentioned the fact that he has been guilty many times this season of nibbling. And it's a tremendous problem for Freddie. He can roll along, maybe giving up 2-3 hits over maybe a 6-inning span, and all of a sudden completely lose it because I know as Sparky comments, he's thinking too much out there.
Don't want you to think, want you to throw. And there's his 1975 statistics and his lifetime 52 and 57. Fred Norman has bounced around, but here he is in the major leagues. 15th pro season. Here is Juan Beniquez, who is known as a fastball first ball hitter. You might say that about most of these Red Sox. An aggressive club. Takes it high, ball one. Manager Darrell Johnson made a change in his lineup with Beniquez in left field and Yastrzemski at first base. 2 balls and no strikes. Dick Stello is behind the plate. George Maloney is at first base. Satch Davison is second. Art Francis at third. Larry Burnett is in right field. Colossi is in left field. That's the umpiring alignment. 3-0. 3 balls and no strikes.
What makes a pitcher so good? There's Zimmer at third base. What makes a pitcher so good in one park and not so good in another? He's got a tremendous home record, doesn't he, Marty? 22-6 lifetime, and he's been a below 500 pitcher on the road.
There's the strike. I don't know. I've seen pitches like that. You have too, make you wonder as Zimmer flashes the sign. And I tell you, if he coaches like he usually does, this guy's hitting. Johnson, he turns him loose. Norman falls behind hitters, and that'll get you in trouble. Wants a new baseball. I love that. Now, the umpire put it in his pocket. 2 pitches later, going to give him the same ball. It's going to be all right.
The pitchers tell me they can tell. That little seam is out of place.
Oh, sure. They tell me that, too. You believe them?
I believe you. You're sitting right next to me. They're not.
Straight away center field. Geronimo has plenty of room. 1 away, and it brings up Denny Doyle.
Joe and Marty, you've got to wonder what kind of attitude the Red Sox are going into this after they lost 2 consecutive games, both of which they might have won. A little bit base running that may have been a little bit too risky.
Well, I'll tell you, Johnny Bench wasn't that happy about the victory. He was a little bit upset last night. He said, we were lucky to win it, very lucky to win it. He said, we made some bad plays, and I hope it woke us up. Hits his bat at strike 1. No score, just underway. Denny Doyle, 4 for 12, hitting .310. This little guy has really done a job. That was a slider way outside. You got a good look at that slider as it broke quickly. He's got from a great hometown, isn't he, Marty? What is it, Caves Creek or something? Caves Creek.
Got a lot of people up here in support of Denny Doyle, Joe. He's a graduate of Morehead State University, and a lot of his old college chums are here at Riverfront Stadium tonight to see him play.
You figure Caves Creek is, they turned down the stop-and-go light and they're all here? One of my favorite towns. Here's a pitch. He didn't have a good cut at that ball. Looked like he was fooled on that pitch by Norman. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out.
Marty, what kind of fielder is Freddie Norman?
He's not a bad fielder, Tony. He's done a pretty good job this season. Did some fine fielding plays, turned in some fine fielding plays against Pittsburgh in his last start in the League Championship Series.
2-2 pitch. Morgan. 2 outs. I like the way he shakes off a pitch. He really sneers it off. You know, he gives you that tough upper lip. Just sneers at you. Be surprised how many funny faces pitchers make. And sometimes you're down in the crouch. I used to have to laugh sometimes. They just give you, they don't mean it, you know, but they're just bearing down so much.
I guess their expression depends a lot upon whom they've got to look in at. I didn't mean that.
Yes, you did. You really did, Tony. Here's Yastrzemski. 2 for 11 in this series. Takes a fastball high. Boy, he was out there mighty early. Bus got out there about 5 o'clock. He had taken a cab an hour or so earlier. They're ready. Good cut of the fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's the on-deck hitter, and he'll get quite a reception when he comes up. Carlton Fisk.
They look like they're playing Yastrzemski over more to pull toward the right field line than they did before. I guess they're going to try and pitch him inside or maybe some breaking balls.
There's a good shot of it. You can always gauge it by the center fielder. Geronimo's in right center, and look at Concepcion, the shortstop. Hit it to right field. It's a base hit. Got a curveball up, and he just kind of stroked it oh so gently. Yastrzemski is on, and that brings up Carlton Fisk. Well, I tell you, if I'd have been catching, I believe I'd have made the same kind of a beat. Because I only changed my mind after watching the replay about 18 times today. Not too bad. I thought it'd be worse than it is, Marty. These fans didn't give it to him too badly.
No, they really didn't, Joe, and it was somewhat surprising. But I guess the biggest reason was the fact that It was a play that had the Reds ultimately coming out on top in the ball game, but he really put up quite a storm at home plate.
Carlton Fisk. There's the strike. He's 2 for 9. 1 home run, 3 runs batted in. He's been a good hitter for the Red Sox in this series. He got it going last night. Tremendous home run. One and one. Mrs. Fisk. She just keeps up that applause. Ah, the lonely life of the pretty wives. Come on, Pudge. Curveball is the beauty. He dropped the curveball in there off speed. And there is Larry Barnett, who was involved in the play last night. He's along the right field line. He was behind the plate last night. Out on strike. Fisk on a screwball. So the Red Sox do not score in the top of the first. We go to the bottom half. No score. And there he is, Luis Tiant. And Mrs. Tiant. What in the world is that? Man, she came prepared, didn't she? Beautiful.
Fans are going to have some fun watching Louis pitch here tonight.
Oh, I tell you, he is something to watch. And we warn you ahead, there'll be nothing wrong with your fine-tuning knob. He'll be out of focus. Here he comes. Fastball is the strike. You remember he threw a slow curveball to Pete Rose that had him kind of talking to himself. Makes you wonder if he'll be up there looking for it. 3 for 12 in the series. No score. One and one.
Rose hit the ball hard off him up in Boston. He had 3 balls on the nose.
There's that slow curve.
He's waiting for it,
He
too.
was waiting for it. Yes, sir. And still couldn't do
look
much
at Pete.
with it. He's talking to himself.
Joe, you talk about Tiant's motion in relation to Pete. Tony made the comment about the 3 hard-hit balls. Pete said that Louis Tiant's head could roll off toward the first base foul line. As he delivered to the plate, he wouldn't even notice it.
Say, he is something. 1-2 pitch. Fastball, and he had to fight it off. He comes from over the top. He gets a little extra on it, it seems. The thing about him, he's got 6 different pitches. He throws a knuckleball when he's really ahead, but it's not only the pitches that he has, it's the angle from which they come. Outside, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Pete Rose. No score, bottom of the first. Game 4. All 3, breaking ball. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tiant has been outstanding in 5 of his last 6 starts. In his last 6 starts, he's allowed 5 earned runs in 48 2/3 innings. That's an earned run average of 0.92. Amazing. Payoff pitch. Pretty good fastball.
He's going to need it tonight. He usually has pretty good control, too. He can spot the ball with all of his pitches. He walks 2 or 3 a game.
Look at those statistics, Tony. 27 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 3 shutouts. Boy,
Look at that bottom line.
Oh.
What they pay off on.
Up the middle, it's a base hit. Tiant, because of his follow-through, was not ready, and it got through there. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball, is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Major League Baseball has the right of approval of the announcers for this event.
Joe, you might take a close look at Pete Rose here as Ken Griffey steps in. Sparky Anderson made the comment earlier tonight that something may be going if he gets on initially.
Well, he's on. Not too big a lead. There he goes. Left center field. That's going to plug the gap. Rose will score easily. Here he comes. There goes Griffey for third. They're going to have a shot at him. In time, they got him. Once again, the Boston Red Sox with fundamentally sound, basic baseball, hitting the cutoff man who got the ball in good shape.
Fine relay throw as we look at Lynn all the way over left center to Rick Burleson, the cutoff man. Look at Art France, the third base umpire. He's eating dust right along with Petrocelli and Griffey. Good relay. Great execution, Joe.
That was just perfect, boy. That's page 10 of the Spalding Guide if you want to know how you make relay plays. Lynn gave it to Burleson. Burleson a one-hopper, which is an easy ball for the infielder to handle. And bongo, they got the man. Pete Rose scores. It's 1-0. Here is Joe Morgan. Hit and run play. Marty, you hit it right on the head. You said something would happen. It didn't take long. Ball one. Wrinkle those socks. Two balls, no strikes. A single by Rose and a double by Griffey, and it's 1-0 Cincinnati. All three. Three nothing pitch. Strike is called. Burleson, the shortstop, really over towards the bag. A lot of room between Burleson and Petrocelli. Look at that. Man, he drive 2-3. Now we'll see it. What do you think, Tony?
Well, let's hear what Joe Morgan says. We had a little audio tape or videotape with him before the game. We asked him, what about Luis Tion's move? Let's hear what little Joe's got to say about Luis Tion. What will you do about it?
Well, Tony, Louis has a quick move to first, which is a legitimate move, and he also has a balk move to first. And he interchanges the two, and I think it throws the umpires off a little bit. His balk move, he starts his throw to first base without stepping, and on his regular move, he does step.
What a lead Joe's got.
He's got a big lead as Perez waits. They throw it back. He just made it. Dropped the ball. You can tell the big lead because Morgan can get at least 1 foot on the artificial surface. That's the yardstick. Pete Rose, when he broke, he was in the dirt area. But watch Morgan. If you can get to the artificial surface, you got yourself a good lead. There he goes measuring again. Back there. He read that pretty good. That wasn't as close.
Morgan's come out and said that he's not going to be thrown out anymore the rest of this series.
Tion jiggles, comes from different positions, and look at the lead. Man, we got some battle going here now. Say what you want, and Perez has to wait. Morgan continues to defy Tion by getting a big lead. Tion challenging him. Cat and mouse. Holding. Foul back. Boy, I guarantee you now, when you look in the box score, all that happened there was a foul ball, but you never saw a more exciting moment than the Tion trying to get Morgan.
Fastball right down the middle, and that's the benefit that a bench or a Tony Perez get when Morgan's on base. Not many breaking balls. Lack of concentration by the pitcher going home. You see some balls popped in this situation.
I think what they do, they rely more on throwing strikes than throwing outside corner strikes. Here we go again. Look at Morgan's lead on that surface. 1 strike. Pitch out. Nothing happening.
Morgan says he loves it. He said he can read pitch outs. That man goes quicker to home. That's all he needs. He stops in his tracks, doesn't even break.
He didn't break at all. But look out now. Holding. Bouncing ball. Burleson's only playing first base. In time. Nice play by Yastrzemski at first base. George Maloney, the umpire. A double call to make sure that everybody knew he was out. Burleson made a good play on that ball.
He did, throwing off balance, couldn't get much on it as he was going a little bit away from first base.
Johnny Bench with the score 1-0 Cincinnati. Single by Rose, double by Griffey, and that snapped Tian's streak of no earned runs in his last 27 innings. Johnny Bench 3 for 12 in the World Series. They won't give him too much to hit with first base open. High, ball 1. The on-deck batter is George Foster, a good hitter, but not the threat to hit one out of here that Johnny Bench is. And there you see Foster. Morgan just kind of cruising around second base. Boy, that's when he's the most dangerous. 1-1.
Perez and Bench have had a couple of pretty good swings, just missing. Of course, that's been said a lot in this game, hasn't he? Just missed it.
Just didn't get it all.
More often than I just got it.
Tell you, man, they really play it deep. Look at Burleson, the shortstop, way back there. He may have to hit a relay man to get it to first. High fastball. Got to believe John widened the strike zone, tried to drive that run, and that was not a good strike. It was a good pitch by Tian.
Marty, how much did that shoulder injury bother Johnny Bench during the course of the year?
Tony, it bothered him a lot more than he let people think it did. Actually, at one point, it got so bad that he had to go to Sparky Anderson and said, look, I've got to sit down for a while and give it rest. He had a number of shots to try to alleviate the problem.
1-2 pitch. High. 2-2, 2 outs, 1 run in. We're in the bottom of the first. Tian hasn't given that whirling dervish kind of move where he kicks his leg at base runner Morgan at second base. But due for it. Way back there, right center field. Slow curveball, and it drops for the extra base. Morgan scores easily. Bench has a double. That ball seemed to hang up there a long time. And Evans and Lynn gave it a chase. Couldn't seem to catch up with it. 2-0 Cincinnati.
Well, they said up in Fenway that they wouldn't be able to play as shallow as Mr. and Mrs. Johnny Bench in the stands. Here's Freddie Lynn. He and Evans have not moved back too much since coming over from Fenway, but they got hurt by Pete Rose yesterday. This ball hung up, as you said, Joe, but they were playing relatively shallow, couldn't get to it.
What a great shot from center field to see the action of the outfielders. I think there was more indecision in misjudging it.
What great hitting by Bench, too. An off-speed pitch. You expect him to pull it, maybe even foul, but he was going the other way all the way.
Here is George Foster now. 2-0 ball game. Cincinnati out in front. Strike one. Breaking ball. A lot of room in the outfield here, and Johnny Bench took the pitch to the opposite field. He has given the Cincinnati Reds their second run in this inning. Fastball inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Looked like they want to take the fastball and lay for the off-speed stuff.
And go the other way with it. You know, Rose got the first off-speed pitch he got. He went for it. Bench hit it.
Perez went after it, dribbled it.
Perez dribbled it.
Infield.
1-1 pitch. Curveball is a beauty. Overhand curveball. Johnny Bench at second base. Two runs in. We're in the bottom of the first. Tian. Good fastball, got it up and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They're very shifted way over for Foster. Yastrzemski at first base, way wide of the bag as Concepcion waits. There's a good shot at defense. Look at Yastrzemski, how far he is from the bag. Two pitch. Fouls it back.
Never forget the All-Star game in Washington. The year Bill Dickey was president, great Hall of Famer, and he was talking about Bench. He said he had seen him on television. He just raved about the strength he had and still had the great soft hands, his agility. And he said, well, everybody knows it by now. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. This is one of the first years Bench was in the majors.
He may be in the Hall of Fame while he's still playing. Way outside, 3-2. I tell you, it's guys like Bench and Morgan, well, Yastrzemski, even Fred Lynn, Jim Rice, who answered the question, are the ball players of today as good as the ball players of your time? Listen, if you could play, you can play in 1776 or 1976. If you can't play, better hope your father buys the team. Here's the payoff pitch. Deonta Foster. Hot smash to Petrocelli, but he was right there guarding the line. Yastrzemski, nice play, almost pulled him off the bag. At the end of an inning, Cincinnati 2, Boston nothing. Split screen as we see Sparky Anderson on the left, Darrell Johnson on your right. Sparky's very superstitious. He always has Alex Grammas to his right when the opposition is batting. To his left, I'm sure, is George Scherger. Darrell Johnson is kind of sitting there.
2 contrasting personalities managing these teams. Sparky's bubbling all the time, willing to talk to anybody, and Darrell Johnson not rude, but he's been kind of short with his answers. Simple yeses and nos. Although I guess you said more than yes or no yesterday in that 10th inning.
I kind of think he did, Tony. Here's Fred Lynn, 3 for 11 in the series. Against Fred Norman. Red Sox trail 2-0, top of the second. Ball 1. Lynn trying to draw Pete Rose in. Petrocelli, who has really been a hot hitter. Petrocelli, 6 base hits. Petrocelli and Burleson tied for the Red Sox lead in hits. There's a strike. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. One pitch. Look at that bench. He scooped that up like picking cherries. Watch him just grab that ball like it's a tweezer, a giant tweezer. Hello there. He's got a magnet in that glove, Tony. Isn't that something? When a catcher does that, the pitcher never looks wild. Down the left field line, maybe playable. It's near the stands and into the stands. You know, some catchers will make a pitcher look wild. They're jumping around and moving. Bench. Nobody ever looks wild.
He's the kind of guy you want to say, well, he can do it all. And then you say, well, he doesn't run too well. But then you look at what he's done. 12 of 12. He's an excellent base runner.
I think the best yardstick you can use on the franchise, and that's what he is that when a young catcher comes up, and I hear it so often, he's a young Johnny Bench. And then you look at Johnny Bench, the young catcher's older than him.
Never thought of it that way.
2-2 pitch. How many times have you heard it? Young guy comes up and says, oh, this guy's a young Johnny Bench. He's 28. Bench is 26. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Fred Lynn. They're going to be saying the same thing about Lynn. High curveball. He chased it, missed it. Strike 3, and that's the second strikeout for Norman, 2 in a row. Rico Petrocelli. Petrocelli is 6 for 11. 3 runs batted in. Fisk and Petrocelli have the club lead in RBIs.
There's one right there. He just struck out Lynn. The ball was passed around the infield. He changed balls. Superstition, Marty?
Yeah, he does that quite a bit during the course of the game, Tony.
What does he figure? Some witch doctor?
One of those idiosyncrasies of a left-hander, Joe.
You put it nicely.
That's the high rent district way of saying they're flaky, huh?
Yeah.
He's bearing down. Look, oh, I love the way. Oh man, he sneers. That's a broken bat, base hit for Petrocelli, and in my book, there's no such thing as a cheap hit. They're all too tough to get, and Petrocelli now has his 7th base hit of the World Series.
Might have been a screwball that Rico got off the end of the bat. Looked like pretty good location. That's the pitch that used to get Rico out very easily when he was a big slugger. Kept the ball away. Now he goes the opposite way at times with that pitch.
He did hit that ball right on the end of the bat. You could see it. Here is Dwight Evans, who was a hero for a couple of minutes last night. Hit a big home run to tie it up. Evans is 3 for 10. 1 man out, 2-0. Cincinnati leading, top of the 2nd. Fastball. Bench wanted to know where it was, and there is Rick Burleson. He's one of those bear-down guys in the on-deck circle. Takes his stance and tries to time the pitcher. Bouncing ball to Concepcion. To Morgan, 1. That's all they're going to get. Evans can run. Two outs. And Rick Burleson is a batter.
Joe, I think what tells a little bit of the story of the kind of competitor that Freddie Norman is, he was peeved when he was passed up for the 2nd game up in Boston. I know a lot of left-handed pitchers want to pass up Fenway Park, Boston.
Yeah, that's one of those parks that left-handers get bad backs, isn't it?
Ooh.
10 hits and
Next.
20 times at bat. That's pretty good in the postseason play games. Burleson, first pitch once again. This time it's Rose who comes over and makes the play. Dodgers say Concepcion, but Pete Rose covered a lot of ground. Ends the inning. We go to the bottom of. Here it comes.
We talked about on a play made this way yesterday going to his left. He considers this his best play. What an adjustment he's had to make, and do it well, and never lost his hitting either.
So it's 2-0 as we go in the bottom half of the 2nd inning. Cincinnati in front. Dave Concepcion leads it off against Luis Tiant. That was a tough first inning for Tiant. Made 28 pitches to the plate. 3 more pitches at first base when Morgan was on. That's a lot of pitches for him. Fastball is a strike. Concepcion had some problems with Tiant in Boston. But then who didn't? He won that game 6-0. Strike 2.
Headlines in Venezuela this morning, I understand, was the front page, Concepcion's picture full page. Concepcion, the hero of the game. He's something.
It's the way it should be. Hot smash to Petrocelli. Played him perfectly. 1 up, 1 down. Petrocelli has been as steady a ball player as you want. He's hitting, he's fielding, getting on base, and just kind of doing it in a quiet, positive way.
Still insists he might quit and call this his last year.
Boy, you would hate to see that happen with the kind of a series he's having. Here's Geronimo, 2 for 8, hit a big home run last night. Fastball misses. Another one of those oddities in this series. Small ballpark, 2 games, no home runs. Last night they were flying out of here, 6 of them. Big ballpark. There's that slow curve hit off the end of the bat. Doyle. So Geronimo is out. What would you do, Tony, if you were batting against a guy like Tiant as you watch it?
I think I might do what Cincinnati's trying to do. They're taking the fastball and going after the off-speed pitch. Look at Louis, another change-up curveball. Geronimo was looking for an off-speed pitch, but he still hit it on the end of the bat.
That pitch, he seemed to sling it. One of those frozen shoulder jobs. Of course, he looked 7 different directions before he threw it, too, which can be a little distracting. Here's Norman, not a bad hitter.
Louis tells a great story on his dad, the former great left-handed Cuban pitcher. There's Rose pitching in the Polo Grounds. And he apparently had a great fastball and also a great move to first base. And he threw over to first base. The hitter swung and missed. Threw his bat down in disgust, told the umpire, "I never saw the ball." And then, now listen to this. How's this for a ball player's excuse? He reconsidered and said, "I thought I got a piece of it." Tiant claims it's a true story.
He threw to first. The guy swung and went back to the bench and said, "I thought I got a piece of it."
He said, "I got a piece of it." Louis claims it's true.
Left field. Benitez is where he makes the play. I'm going to have to ask Satchel Paige about that. That sounds like his kind of story. So at the end of 2, Cincinnati 2, Boston nothing.
We'll be back here for game number 5 tomorrow night of the 1975 World Series. Joe Garagio's Baseball World will be on, and you've got Max Patkin. He's been in every park in the world.
That's right. You know, he's the last of his breed, which it all began, at least in my memory, with Al Shack as the Clown Prince. And Max does a very physical show. We went to Rochester, filmed him, and I think you'll enjoy it. I don't think there's going to be any more after Max. Here is Tiant to lead it off. We're in the 3rd inning. Curveball, and they're treating him with respect, and they should, because it was Tiant as Benitez swings that bat in the on-deck circle. Tiant got himself a base hit when they were at Fenway. And it's ball 2, and he did miss home plate as he came around. He went back and tagged it. 2 balls and no strikes. Ball 3. I tell you, it's easy to see why they would love this fella, especially in Boston. You got to like him. He's a bear-down guy, gives you everything he's got. 3-0 pitch. Ball 4, draws the walk. And that'll send Sparky Anderson to the water cooler, I guarantee you. That'll make you stir at least. DeRocher used to always go to the water cooler. There he is. There's his superstitious lineup. Grammas to his right. That's Sparky Anderson with his leg crossed, which is another one of his superstitions. Scherger, the coach, has to sit up there off his left shoulder, and Larry Shepard to the right of Grammas.
Sure has worked.
It sure has, especially if you got good hitters. There is Norman sneering off a pitch, and Benitez hasn't taken his eyes off him. Look at the concentration on Benitez. Screwball. Let's see if their eyes meet. I mean by that, after he gets the sign, if Benitez will pick him up right away, Tony. He's got it. Another one, same pitch. 2 strikes. Luis Tiant is the base runner at first. And here we go. Benitez with a count of strike 2. Good spot.
3 screwballs in a row. Benitez, as you obviously can tell by those first 3 pitches, respected as a fastball hitter. Tony playing behind Luis Tiant at first.
One-two pitch now. Fouled off. I'd say that Cecil Cooper played behind Perez last night, and old Tony took off. And
What
made
a difference.
Yeah.
Would have been the 3rd out. Had he been thrown out, bench would have never come up.
Everybody on this club looks for that green light, whether it's hitting or on the bases, and Sparky Anderson usually giving it. Foul ball, it's out of play. He's really spotting that ball well. He's keeping the ball the outside part of the plate.
He walks about 4 per 9 innings. Been more of a strikeout pitcher than you'd suspect a little guy like he is would be. Strikes almost 6 out per 9 innings.
So far tonight, he's got 2. There's the on-deck batter, Denny Doyle. Nobody out. Lined over the dugout. Just again, that's that good fastball in, and that good hitter, when he can't handle it, he just fouls it off.
Benitez is noted to be a pretty good offensive player. They felt he'll hit around 300, pop a home run once in a while, has a chance to be a good base stealer. They're trying to find a position for him.
If he can hit, they'll find one. Off the end of the bat, but it's going to sneak through.
Whoa, Louis.
Tiant, he made that left turn.
Louis had some experience this year being on base. That was the first game of the World Series. Almost gets nipped by the ball. You're going in the right direction, Louis. Don't round it too far at second.
Tell you, the other day in Boston, when he got on first, they gave him a jacket and a road map. Now he's looking like he's got some ideas.
Throw a lasso on him.
That's it. He's just one of those guys that makes things happen when he's around him. There's a base hit to right field, almost hits him. He scores, well, misses home plate. Something's always happening. He's an exciting kind of guy. So it's first and second. Now here's Denny Doyle. Doyle bounced out his first time up, and they're moving in on him at first and third. They're looking for the bunt. He squares around, and then, whoops, look out there.
The Cincinnati infield was doing a little decoying there, too. They were creeping in at the corners, and Concepcion was way over toward the back. That's where he was now. But as soon as Norman started pitching, they backed up on the left side a little bit. Remember, it was Doyle who slapped the ball by Rose in one of the ball games earlier.
He's got a lot of room between Concepcion and Rose. Ball one to count. Center field, Geronimo covering over fast and makes the play. The ball was well hit, but he was very shallow. He covered a lot of ground.
The kind of situation you would expect Doyle to bunt, Joe. I thought he was going to bunt all the way, but they put so much pressure at the corners on this artificial surface, didn't feel he could do it successfully.
Johnson, one of those managers who plays pretty conservative, but again, that pressure from Rose and Perez just took the bunt right away from him.
Joe, I haven't seen that conservative play by Johnson. I think he's
well, I mean,
had his guys going on the base pass, yeah.
The only guy he really didn't bunt with we expected was Yaz, and he said he would have bunted with him last night if he'd got one strike. Oh, he's not conservative on the bases at all, or 3-0. Bouncing ball to Morgan. There's one. And there's two. Double play, 4-6-3. And the crowd loves it. Here's the play once again. 2-0. Cincinnati leading. Tony, here's that double play again. You got to love the way Morgan gives you that ball.
You see right here why David Concepcion's son's middle name is Alexander, after Alex Kramis, who spent so much time working on him with just that specific play, among many others. A lot of hours put in trying to refine his double play technique.
Certainly has refined it to the point that he's got it down perfectly. Here is Rose. He singled and scored the first run. Single to center field. Hit hard, center field. Lynn is there. Boy, he jumped on the first pitch and really drilled it. Can't say he fooled him with that one. Here's Griffey. Griffey doubled a left center field to drive in Rose, but then was out on a tremendous play by Lynn to Burleson to Petrocelli. Ken Griffey, 318 his last 44 games. Ted Kluszewski simply says he's our Ralph Garr with power. And I think that pretty well says it all. There's the strike. Joe Morgan in the on-deck circle.
Marty, I think everybody around here feels that Griffey has the potential to be another Joe Morgan. He's got a little bit of power. Clue says he might hit 20 home runs someday, and of course he's got the great speed.
That's right, Tony. He last year had a terrible habit of going after bad pitches, and they worked that with him on spring training, and he seemed to really cut down on that problem during the regular season, primarily when at good pitches, and it really paid off for him.
He's up to now with a 1-1 count. What a pitch that was.
I've got a question for you, Joe.
All right.
If you had had Griffey's speed as a player, what might you have done?
Probably an artificial surface, too?
Oh, that, too. You could have it all.
I probably did a hard 260.
Fenway Park's wall in right field for you.
Okay, here's the 1-2 pitch.
A hard 260.
Hard 260.
What's a hard 260?
Anything I hit's hard, man. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Griffey. In addition to not being able to hit, I also couldn't run. Right back to Tian. He's got this one and over to first.
You had a hard 4 base hits one World Series. Don't discount that.
You can catch lightning in a bottle once in a while, Tony. Here is Morgan. Boy, I try to figure out the pitchers that would give him the most trouble when he was on bases. You know who's at the very top of his list, not playing now? Pete Rickard. You remember Rickard?
Yeah.
He had a good move.
Dodgers.
He made it tough on Morgan. Out of play.
Joe says the toughest right-hander in baseball is Andy Messersmith. And, of course, one of the top throwing catchers is Steve Yeager, the Dodgers. And yet Joe went 13 for 13 stolen bases against the Dodgers.
The moral of that story is, don't believe a base stealer. One strike pitch. Ooh, he had some ideas on that slow pitch. Well, Morgan simply says, nobody's going to stop me from stealing. Some make it tougher than others. There was that pitch is a tough pitch to handle. He missed the inside corner, but he shoots for the belt buckle, and there's nothing you can do with it. And he really twisted and turned on that one. He took a good look at the center field bleachers. Here's a shot from behind. The pitcher, here's what it's going to look like. The outfield. You know, Tony, it's a funny thing. As a catcher, all the years you spend with the ball coming towards you, but the infielders and outfielders, it's going away from you. You know what I'm saying?
Makes a lot of sense so far.
I know, but I mean, it's a different perspective, like when you sit in the ballpark. Like right now, this is where the infielder would see it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, a catcher's view, it's always going to come to him, so you're not leaning forward. I know. It's the same thing with adding with the catches.
It's that theory.
Forget it, man. I can see that blank look. It's like it's a look you get when you start to blow up the footballs. I know. That ball's well hit, but Beniquez is out there this time and makes the play. So you see Yastrzemski, he had it covered well. 3 up and 3 down. It's 2-0 Cincinnati. Top of the 4th, 2-0 Cincinnati out in front, and with our handheld camera, there it is. Now that's a spot. See, I would sit there, and the reason I would sit there is so I could watch the third baseman throw the ball as opposed to sitting at first base and watch the ball come towards me.
I can get you that job. I'll call Corey Leibel, the guy carting that camera around. You can have his job.
I don't want his job. Norman against Carlton Fisk.
It would be easy to say right now, Joe, that Boston is down, but it's the World Series, and I know they're not. They know what they've been through this entire year with Baltimore in pursuit.
No way. The only way they're down is on that scoreboard. They're trailing by 2, and they're going to try to get some runs. You don't get down. You're playing in the series. Fastball is high, ball 1. I'll tell you one, there is Fred Lynn. Tell you one thing, that Rose is way back there at third base. He's going to have some trouble if he does come up with the ball. Long throw for him. 2 balls, no strikes.
He's had some arm problems, too. His shoulder, Marty?
Well, he had some elbow problems, Tony, but going into the playoffs, he said they had completely cleared up for him.
3-0. Norman behind. It's 2-0. So every time those Red Sox get a runner on, that time runs at the plate, and they got some gunners. There's the strike. Dick Stello raises that right hand and strike like he's posing for that baking soda ad. Big, powerful arm up there. 3-1 pitch. Well hit, in the gap, left center field. Could be extra base, but look at Geronimo get over there and cut that ball off. Fine defensive play, and there's that raw speed Plucky was talking about.
I'll tell you, Joe, Tony, he can do it. He is considered by many to be the best center fielder in the National League, and as you mentioned, on artificial surface, it makes it all the more difficult as you see him sweep deep into the gap in left center field to cut that ball off and really recover and get a quick throw off to the infield to keep Carlton Fisk to a long single.
You could see from that outfield camera following him how far he got over in that gap. And that's what Sparky was talking about, that raw speed. Because when it hits that artificial surface, it really jumps. And here's Lynn, who was out on strikes. Strike 1, foul tip.
Geronimo's fun to watch from up here because you can see the ball hit the bat and you can see his movement. something you can't see when you're down at ground level. You've got to watch the ball off the bat like a tennis match. But we can see it both from up here. And he's moving even on a foul ball, getting the jump.
You know, he's going to get in a position sometime tonight when he's going to be right in line with our camera, and we'll be able to take a sneak preview. Way outside. He's way over now in right center field. Not way over, but he's towards the right field side of the bag. You line up according to the second base bag. It's 1 ball and 1 strike, 2-0. Whoops, little flip throw. Nobody out. 2-0. Cincinnati leading. Going for that outside corner. Strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, baseball can get very basic to the point that the team that wins is the team that stays away from the double play. There is Geronimo
Let's watch
looking
Geronimo.
break.
Now, this is a ball that was not even hit by Freddie Lynn the last swing, and you can see before the ball was hit, obviously, he's going toward left center field.
1-2 pitch on the way. Line foul. Starting to say, Tony, and you've heard it, where the managers say, if you can stay away from the double play, and on defense, you got to cut that ball off to keep it in order, and on offense, hitting to the right side, bunting, moving the guy around. Double play, that's the rally killer. And if you can keep it in effect when you're on defense and stay out of it when you're on offense, you got yourself a pretty good ball club. And both these clubs are able to do that. Geronimo has just kept it going here by cutting that ball off that Fisk hit. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Outside. Perez, you can see behind Fisk. He'll not be going anywhere. They're looking for a big sock from young Fred Lynn. Tap foul. All those outfielders, as you look at them moving.
Lynn hits best when he tries to go the opposite way on left-handers. He appears to be trying to pull the ball more than anything else. Thrown him some curveballs. He's been out in front on them.
Here's an interesting situation now. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Fisk is on at first base. Lynn against a left-hander. Do you run him? Do you keep him there?
Against a right-hander, I might start him. Against a left-hander, I'd hold him. But let's see what Darrell Johnson decides.
I agree with you. He's holding. Fouls it back.
Bad pitch. Might have been 2 men on, nobody out.
That was a bad pitch. But when you got 2 strikes on you, you can't be that choosy. There is the first base. A look at the batter and the angle at first base. With Fisk at first. Perez behind him. 3-2. I like the late Clemente's theory. Any pitch you can hit is a good pitch. Fisk is holding. Hot smash. Almost got Fisk. A base hit in the right field. Carlton had to stop to let the ball get by him. Lynn jumped on a high pitch and drilled it into right field. Now it's first and second. Nobody out. Here it is again.
Here's Fisk coming close to getting hit by this hard smash, which may or may not have, we don't know for sure, have prevented him from going to third base. Hit pretty sharply. Griffey was playing toward right center.
Don't think he would have taken the chance. That's a pretty good arm.
Pedro Borbon now has gone down to the bullpen for Cincinnati to get loosened up. Borbon. Neither Rose nor Perez looking for a bunt with nobody out and 2 men on.
Obvious that Borbon is a long middleman. Sparky used them all last night. Rose is way back at third. Nobody out. Petrocelli with Evans, the on-deck batter. Nice play by Bench. He has done that throughout the whole series. Not only does he come up with it, watch him get his body in front of this ball to prevent it. Look at that. Hit him right in the middle of the chest protector. And then he plays it off the protector. Morgan comes in to say something to him.
Might be a little stall for time. Barbone's thrown just a few pitches down in the bullpen. A string of right-handed hitters coming up.
Now you infielders go there and say, come on, settle down. I want you to settle down.
You go in sometimes because the manager says go in. You don't have anything to say.
And then that pitcher runs you out of there.
It's Freddie Norman, and he gives you the look he gives the catcher.
You take off. 1-0 pitch. High pop fly. Concepcion is under it. It's an infield fly. Infield fly. Petrocelli is out. One away, and here is Dwight Evans. Petrocelli got under that ball. Evans hit into a force play his first time up. Hit .316 in his last 48 games.
He and Fisk were the two hottest hitters on this Red Sox club going through September. He's become a more aggressive hitter. At one time, he took too many pitches. Johnny Pesky has worked with him, trying to make him more aggressive.
Gets by bench this time. It'll be a wild pitch, and both runners advance. And that's a big play.
As good as a bunt. Looked like a screwball. For a while, it looked like almost like it was going to hit Evans. Bench just couldn't get around.
That's kind of a funny pitch because usually if it's a curveball, when it hits, it would have gone to Bench's right side because it goes to the opposite way because of the rotation. That's one of those pitches, as the late and so wonderful Casey Stengel used to call a 55-foot curveball.
Here comes Larry Shepard. He has Bourbon ready, but does he come out when they take him out? Marty is usually Sparky.
No, Sparky is the man who comes out and brings the pitcher back with him, Tony. And Sparky made the comment earlier tonight that he felt like he had to have 6 strong innings out of Freddie Norman in this ball game.
Did he give any reason, Marty?
Well, he felt like he really, as you mentioned a moment ago, Joe, really went deep into his bullpen last night, and he does not want to have to go deeply into it again tonight. There's Bourbon again.
It's interesting. They talk about Fenway Park not having any effect on the ball game as we look at Sparky. Well, maybe they're keeping Gullett back this one extra day so he doesn't have to pitch the 7th game if it goes that far in Fenway, but they could still use him in relief to get left-handed hitters out. Red Sox forced to go with Tiant down by 1.
Evans waits in the pitch. Slow curveball. See Bench give Carlton Fisk a quick look. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 2-0. We're in the top of the 4th. Cincinnati's leading.
And the infield conceding 1 run on a ground ball.
Deep to right center field. This could be trouble. Way back there. Off the wall. 2 runs are going to score. Here comes Lynn. There goes Evans heading for third. There's the throw.
Oh, nobody backing him up.
Nobody backing him up.
And luckily...
luckily is right. Nobody was behind him. Norman was back in the plate. Or halfway in between, it seemed like.
Here it is. Geronimo, the strongest arm in the outfield, throwing the strongest arm in the infield. That's Concepcion with a relay in right center field. And Freddie Norman was hung up as Zimmer saying, whoa, wait a second, don't go, and hit the screen, protecting the dugouts.
So there it is, all tied up at 2 apiece on another clutch hit by Dwight Evans. Boy, 2 days in a row, that big guy's come on. Now the infield has to move in. Evans is on at third base with the triple. Here's Burleson. And there's a base hit. And Boston takes the 3-2 lead. Burleson's trying for second and makes it. What a piece of base running. Satch Davidson says, no way. They took for granted that Burleson would stop at first base.
Well, it shows the scouting report of the Red Sox. If the ball is handled by Foster, we'll take some chances. Not on Geronimo. Burleson knows that Foster fielded the ball. Satch Davidson of the National League right there, eating dirt with Morgan and Burleson. Here's Evans on third. With the infield in the way it was, an easy base hit had they been playing back. An easy out. Here's Burleson again, coming into second base. Offline throw by Foster. He takes a little while to get rid of the ball, but just made it.
No, not only was a bit offline, Tony, I felt that he didn't have a whole lot on it. Kind of took for granted that he was going to stop and say, "Oh, baby, I just drove in the tie-breaking run." But that's not the way the Red Sox play, and they now lead by the score of 3-2. And there's a break in the action with the score 3-2 Boston. Luis Tiant has just fouled a pitch off with Burleson on at second base. Barbone, a good fastball. Burleson, don't look now, man. 7 base hits for him. Him and Petrocelli. Rico with a base hit his first time up. And Tiant, a base hit in the center field. Geronimo, a good arm, and Zimmer holds him up and bench now. And look at Tiant made a big turn at first base, and nobody was there because Perez was the cutoff man, and Louis goes scampering back. Really wasn't much that Rick Burleson could do.
And here again, the scouting reports say, not on Geronimo. All the way on the fly. First base was open. There's Perez in the cutoff position, allowing Tiant to make the wide turn at first. Burleson get hurt down there at third base. Trainer's out there, Charlie Moore, looking at his leg. Now out comes Darrell Johnson. He may have pulled something to be out of the game. He's limping. Well, looks...
He had to pull up quickly, and maybe one of those quick stops because he had all the intentions of scoring. And you can see it's a left ankle, and sometimes when you put those brakes on a little bit too hard, you may pull something.
Here's Burleson coming off second base. He thinks he's got a chance to score, and now watch Zimmer. He's got a... Well, he's holding him all the way. Right there on the artificial surface.
That's where it happened.
May have jammed that ankle.
Didn't mean to swing. Little tap. Perez can't get it. Everybody's safe. It's 4-2 Boston. Looked like Tony took his eye off the ball as Beniquez ducked a high fastball.
Barbone makes a good pitch. Really jammed him, but Tony Perez lets it skitter under the edge of his glove. Had no chance for a play anywhere. We got a 4-2 game. Here's Beniquez. That's a jam job.
Jam City.
But the Red Sox get a break.
4-2, Boston out in front, and here is Denny Doyle. It's an error on Perez. Strike. Activity in the Cincinnati bullpen as Barbone delivers a fastball outside, 1-1. There is Clay Carroll, the Hawk. It would be redundant to say he was in there last night, because anybody who warms up tonight, you could say that about him. That's going to be playable. Pete Rose and bench. Who's going to get it? Rose takes charge. There's Tiant visiting with Morgan. You don't think he's saying that's not a balk, Joe? Come on, you're making trouble for nothing.
I think he's saying, how do you like my hitting and my base running?
Here's Yastrzemski, 3 for 13 in the World Series, the Red Sox. 4-2. This is the 9th man to bat in this 4th inning. Off the handle, a little looper coming on fast. Geronimo, and can't get it. Here comes Tiant. He's going to score. Beniquez is held up. He had ideas of coming around.
Cesar broke back on the ball. He looped around the ball, starting to left center field. That's what artificial surface can do to a ball. Look at that hop.
So the Red Sox have taken a 3-run lead. It's 5-2. And here's the man who got it all started, Carlton Fisk. He drilled one into the gap in left center field. It was cut off by Geronimo. Fisk has taken plenty of time to give Tiant a little chance to breathe here. Tiant's been on base both times. He walked in the 3rd. Now he's come around to score after he singled. There is Sparky Anderson. He's giving signals to his people. Barbone. I don't know what he could be giving him unless how to pitch him. With Fisk up there, you don't look for Yastrzemski to be breaking. There's a high fastball, ball one. Big inning for the Red Sox. 5 big runs. Outside. 2-0. Now, you know, that Zimmer, very active coach. In fact, Darrell Johnson, the manager, simply says to Zimmer, go out and coach your usual game. And that means that the runners will be running. Got under it. Left center field. Concepcion, now Geronimo takes charge, makes the play. And that ends the 4th inning, a good one for Boston. 5-2 in the bottom of the 4th. Red Sox out in front. 5-2, the Red Sox with 5 runs in the top of the 4th have taken the lead, and that's the way this series is going. And tomorrow, Game 5, there it is. Begins with the baseball world, and you'll get a good look at the last of his breed. Max Patkin, the baseball clown, will be our show. And then if Boston should win this game, of course, we go back to Fenway Park for Game 6. Game 7, there's a lot of ifs, I'll tell you something, but these two clubs evenly matched, fundamentally sound, and every game has just been a real battle. Game 5 tomorrow. Game 6 will begin 12:30 on Saturday Eastern Time, should Boston win this game. And there goes Tiant into some gyrations now. He give it a little dipsy-do.
He starts putting it on a little bit more when he gets ahead. Liable to see a few knuckleballs.
Now he's starting to look around. He's got those hinges in his body all oiled up, and he'll start to flop around with that Raggedy Ann arm of his. A real battler, this fella. Right field. Way back there it is. Man, he gave it a good chase. Foul ball.
Evans playing toward Perez power, which is right center field or left center field. He has a long run. Not much room there. He has to break himself very quickly. You can see the padding to prevent any injuries in that corner.
He came a long way. Not much room down in those corners.
Burleson's playing short left field for Perez.
Did you see that move? He turned completely to home plate and looked at direct center field. Watch this. If you're sitting in center field, you got to see his eyeballs. Look at that.
Well, one other man I know who can do what we saw in that last replay of Tiant.
Who?
You've got him on your show tomorrow.
Max Patkin, that's right.
Oh.
You know, and it's calculated. It just doesn't happen. This man figures it out. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Struck him out. Foul tip held on to by Carlton Fisk. That's the first strikeout. Fisk held on to the foul tip, and that's a play you just can't practice. You're lucky. One of the few plays in baseball you can't say, I'm going to go out and practice foul tips.
Why are some better than others? I always felt that Yogi was good at catching foul tips.
It has to be a loose webbing in the glove, and he's lucky. How can you go out and practice it? You go up and tell a coach you're going to practice foul tips. You know what he does? He'll take your temperature. It's like going out and practicing triple plays.
I never understood how Yogi could do it with the paws he had.
Those little nubs, huh? Johnny Bench, high curveball. I love when he put down those signals. He indicated 3 fingers, and he had that little stub look like 2.5. I wonder what kind of pitch is a 2.5 pitch. Tiant to Bench. He missed outside.
Marty, I'm trying to recall the number. Maybe you can. And it's a high amount of games in which the Reds have come back in the late innings to win ball games.
Around 39 games, Tony, during the season.
It's a lot. Fastball taken. Fisk, the low target. Oh, what a pitch that was. Right on the outside corner. Johnny Bench thought it was low. And I'll tell you, he is really upset. Look at it.
Carlton did a nice job of snatching the ball in a couple of inches.
And he gave the umpire a good look. And John gave him a good speech. Fouls it back.
I don't think you fool too many umpires these days by snatching the ball back in, do you?
I don't think so either, Tony, except that when you don't make your pitcher look wild, Bench does it, Fisk does it so well, you get some of those. Left field, Beniquez loses his cap but makes the play. 2 away. Foster, who bounced out his first time up. You know, you watch the catchers move back there, and again, they give the umpire a good look, because if you catch the ball coming down with the big glove, the umpire can't really see where you caught the ball. He sees the glove over the corner of the plate, and many times that's a factor. Drill foul. The difference sometimes in a strike and a ball is if you catch the ball in the webbing or if you catch it in the heel. It could be maybe 6-8 inches in there. And if you got the glove coming down or closed off, the umpire really has to make a guess at it. One ball and 1 strike. Luis Tiant, 5-2. The Red Sox are leading. They got 5 big runs in the 4th inning. How do you like that? Shook off the pitch in the middle of his windup. 2 balls and 1 strike. As he was delivering the ball, he was shaking off the pitch. You gotta like this guy. Luis Tiant. High curveball, wants a new ball.
He hasn't been back to Cuba in some 16 years. He said he would like to go. Everybody knows by now his parents are here, and they've seen him pitch great baseball through the month of September, Championship Series, and the first game of the series up in Boston. He knows how to pitch.
Listen, his father knows how to pick off guys, too, I'll tell you that. If his father still got the move, I'd like to use him on the baseball world. Throw to first base and have the guy swing at it. 3-1 pitch, fouled off.
You concentrate so hard on Tiant and his head fakes and the different deliveries, you forget how well he spots the ball when he has his control. He's settled down a little bit more now as the game has progressed, and he's been hitting the corners. You can see Fisk set up, motion outside. He puts the glove down, and Tiant's close to it. Let's watch Fisk.
Off the handle. Doyle backhands it. Long throw. Not in time.
That one went in the dugout.
And it goes into the dugout. That throw into the dugout. Boston running, it hit the fence.
Here's Doyle showing some good range. He didn't have time to right himself to get good balance. Not much on the throw, but he did have a good job getting the ball away. Yes, might have left the ball, the bag a little bit sooner so he could have stopped the ball from going through.
Yes, was convinced he was going to get his man. Foster hits a quiet 300, doesn't he, Marty? Just a steady 300.
He really does, Joe. And, of course, they talk about this season for Cincinnati. The big key when they talk about it will be the movement of Pete Rose to third and Foster to left field that really turned this team around.
That was the move that kicked the big red machine into gear. And here's Concepcion. 2 men out, 5-2 Boston leading. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Good fastball. That's the best fastball he's thrown, Tony.
Burleson was telling me before the ball game that he played against Concepcion several years ago in Venezuela in the Winter Leagues. And he said he never thought that Concepcion would hit. He stood so far away from the plate, held the bat on the end, and couldn't reach pitches outside part of the plate. But Big Klug got a hold of him, and look what he's made of.
Really just a tremendous shortstop. Hopped up, going out, Burleson coming in, Lynn, could be triple, and it's Foster scores, and it's a 2-base hit for Concepcion. There's no reason for that ball dropping.
It was a tough play for anybody who had to make it. Lynn usually comes and gets these kinds of balls, near collision. This is what happens when you get out of Fenway on this artificial surface, just a shade deeper, and he couldn't get it.
Nobody seemed to take charge on that play. They were all reaching, much like the same feeling you get trying to look for the light switch in the dark. Everybody was just reaching.
when you go out as a shortstop, you're looking at the ball and you're just waiting for somebody to crunch you.
And that's the way it looked, Tony, and Burleson just kind of felt his way there, and it cost him a run. 5-3. Here's Geronimo. Strike one. Tiant made a good pitch. Concepcion hit the ball off the end of the bat. It was a little pop fly, and the three of them surrounded it. There's some action in the Cincinnati bullpen once again. There he is, the Hawk. Strike two. This crowd is coming alive here. It's 5-3 now. Concepcion has hit 2 balls, and it really, really stung the Red Sox. He hit that 5 bouncer that tied it up, the one that got the grub worms in Fenway, and now this one, that little blooper. 2 strikes to count. Geronimo waiting. Just missed outside. Activity. Burton is the left-hander. Pohl is the right-hander.
Barbone's in the on-deck circle, but I'm sure if he gets on, we're going to see somebody come to the plate, a pinch hitter. Crowley's been so good off the bench for Sparky.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Nice block by Carlton Fisk. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That curveball broke low. Blocked it nicely. Now he's got a nice low target, just like Bench. Look at him block that ball and keep it there. I'll tell you, I said it so many times so far in this series, this is only game 4. If you're a young catcher, you can follow either one of these fellas behind the plate. Really learn a lot. Fouled it back. Good fastball.
You know, Joe, these 2 guys, you can talk more about catching than I can, obviously. These 2 guys prove that there's more to catching than they're just putting down fingers and throwing to second base.
Oh, well, that's the thing when you go into Chuck contract. It's working the pitchers. It's blocking balls. It's blocking the plate. There's Concepcion at second base. Tiant. 5-3, Red Sox lead, bottom of the 4th. A little looper down the left field line. Beniquez coming over. Can't get it. It gets by him. It'll be extra bases. 2 for Geronimo. He's heading for third. Here's the throw. It is not in time.
Joe, I've got to wonder if Juan Beniquez, who looked like he got a good jump, had some trouble with the lights. He started after the ball very well, and then he just shied away from it. You see again what happens on artificial surface as opposed to a grass field. Here's the play on the relay from Burleson to Petrocelli. And I believe we're going to have a pinch hitter now for the Reds.
Look at that Cincinnati bench. It's 5-4, and Crowley has come out in the on-deck circle. Concepcion, Foster walking by. Tiant, I tell you, a tough luck pitcher in this inning. He got the first 2 men easily, and then Foster hit a bouncing ball. Doyle came up with it. It was an infield hit. Foster went to second as the ball got past Yastrzemski, an error on Doyle. And then Concepcion, a bloop double. 3 outfielders converged, let it drop, and then Geronimo hit one off his handle down the left field line. And Tiant now faces Crowley. 5-4. And Geronimo will lead. Now time is called.
Hey,
they're
there's
going to appeal
play.
it. Safe.
They appealed. They had to put the ball back in play by stepping on the pitcher's rubber, then stepping out. And the second base umpire, Satch Davidson, says,
It was a good attempt on the part of Boston because Geronimo at second base did stumble as he was watching Beniquez run the ball down. Good swing by Crowley. There's Geronimo. This is his first appearance. Played in his 1973 series for Baltimore. 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter. High, 1-1. Let's pause briefly for station identification. It's the NBC Television Network. One ball, one strike. Crowley, a pinch hitter for Bourbon. Strike is called a fastball. Tiant trying to pitch out of it. Leads by a run. Tying run is at third. Geronimo. Let's see where Fisk spots it. Struck him out. Decoyed inside, went to the outside corner. That ends it. But at the end of 4, it's Boston 5, Cincinnati 4. The preceding announcement was furnished by Major League Baseball. Great shot at his tremendous ballpark here. Riverfront Stadium as Clay Carroll comes on. 7-5. Hard thrower. This guy rears back and pumps, Marty.
Sure does, Joe. He's got the basic pitches, fastball, slider, curveball, and set a new record this season for the most appearances ever by a Cincinnati Reds pitcher.
Lynn jumps on the first pitch, is an easy out.
He broke Nuxie's record, didn't he? Joe Nuxhall?
Sure did.
Broadcast with you during the regular season, still pitches batting practice almost every day.
This is Carroll's 3rd game this series, his 12th in World Series appearances. Enrico Petrocelli, 18.8 home runs, pretty good. Foul ball out of play. Enrico was going for one. He tried to put a little charge into that one. Clay Carroll, strike 2. And there is Evans. What a clutch hitter he's been. One ball, 2 strikes. Carroll against Petrocelli. 2 hits in each of his first 3 games. He's got 1 hit tonight. Petrocelli out on strikes. Cut the outside corner.
Although it didn't show in yesterday's ball game, the Reds just keep throwing quality pitchers at you out of the pen, and that's been a big plus for them all year long.
Here's Dwight Evans, who hit into a force play, and then triple in the 4th inning, a big triple. Drove in 2 runs. 4 for 12 in a series. He really drilled it off Carroll into right field. Carroll, although hit, goes over to first base. Hit right back at him. Bench calls time. He's going to check with the Hawk. The Hawk is stalking back to the mound. He doesn't even want to rub. He knows if Sparky will take him out. I'm all right.
He got jolted pretty good. Couldn't see exactly where it hit him.
He's not going to tell anybody yet.
He wants to give me the ball. I want to pitch, that's all. Evans tried to say something to him as he was over at first base. To say, how are you? There's Larry Starr, the trainer.
I tell you, as many guys they got in that bullpen, Tony, it's got to be a factor. And this guy's a real battler anyhow.
Joe, I'll tell you, this guy does not want to come out of the game. In fact, last night when Sparky took him out, he went into the dugout, threw his glove up against the wall, and pretty much made it known that he was not happy at all with it.
Let's look again. If we can see where the ball hits Clay Carroll. Now, vicious line drive. Looked like a sinker, and you can see what a pitcher has. Absolutely no chance at all. Where'd that hit him?
Hit him right in the Labanza, right in the boiler.
Up the hole.
Right in the boiler. That is chronic heartburn where he got hit. Oh, watch the ball now. He sees the ball, and then at the last minute, it's like he's got handcuffs on. See the ball? Now watch it. He'll look up. See him look up?
He's protecting his face is all he's trying to do.
Yes, sir. Got him right in the boiler. But he's all right.
No, it wasn't the boiler. What was it?
Labanza. He got it. The Hawk is ready. All the folks down in Alabama where he's from, happy. The Hawk is okay. This is Burleson. Look at those statistics. 7 for 13. Time is called something, I think of somebody threw something on the field, Frisbee or something. You know, I said this last night about Burleson, Tony. He's one of those guys that just doesn't take that big bite. He keeps nicking you. They want Foster to throw it, and he hands it to the ball boy. Burleson just keeps coming at you, coming at you. He did it all year. One ball, one strike.
Burleson reminds me a little bit, as we look at Evans, of a guy who was always one of my favorites, played with the White Sox, was an MVP one year. They always said of Nellie Fox, didn't have much ability, couldn't run, couldn't throw. All he did was hit 320, 30.
All he could do was beat you.
He knew how to play the game.
That's right.
It's very important in this game. It's something, I'll call it instinct, what you want, but sometimes you can't teach it. Fox went on with that ability to win an MVP one year, 59.
Zimmer at third base pretty much the same way. 1-1 pitch. Concepcion's going to have to hustle and makes his play at second base, and they get Evans. He could not have gotten Burleson. So we'll go to the bottom of the fifth, 5-4, Red Sox over Cincinnati. A 5-4 ball game, and these Boston Red Sox can put it on the scoreboard. And now to give you the play-by-play the rest of the way, voice of the Cincinnati Reds, Marty Brenneman.
Thank you, Joe, and hello again, everybody. Well, we've got a pretty much of a carbon copy of what we have witnessed the last two games in the 75 World Series. One-run games. Saturday at Fenway Park, 3-2 Cincinnati. Last night, the Reds pulling it out by a run, and 5-4 Boston as the Cincinnati Reds come to bat in the bottom of the fifth inning. Louis Tiant will be working the top of the Reds' batting order as we take a look at this massive crowd at Riverfront Stadium tonight. Rose has had a hit. He scored a run, has hit the ball hard 2 times. Tiant starts him off with an off-speed pitch that misses the strike zone. Reds got 2 off of Tiant in the first inning. Then he went to work, retired 10 batters in a row before the Reds were able to come up with an infield 2-out single by Foster in the last inning that started it off. Ball 2 to Rose. On deck for the Cincinnati Reds is right fielder Ken Griffey. Pitch is foul back. Rose now 4 for 13 or 4 for 14 in the games played so far. Louis Tiant has allowed the Cincinnati Reds 6 hits, while Boston, who has continually out-hit the Reds, has had 10 hits. Cincinnati trying to battle back from behind after at one point leading 2-0 before that 5-run fourth inning. And Tiant a pitch away from walking Pete Rose. Rose checking out third base coach Alex Grammas. Rose opens the fifth inning with a base on balls, and that's the first walk that Tiant has allowed tonight. Naked walk number 2. Joe Morgan getting a walk in the first inning. Carlton Fisk now going out to the mound to talk with Tiant as once again manager Darrell Johnson is going to get some activity going in his bullpen.
Well, Marty, when this game started, remember you said immediately that we look at the bullpen. We got Pohl and Burton. Burton's a left-hander. You said if Rose got on, that there was something was going to happen. He did break on the very first pitch. Let's see if it happens now.
I'd be surprised if it happened again, Joe. I know Sparky made the comment that they did not even expect Rose to go at all in this series. But we'll see. He's on with a leadoff walk, and now Griffey, who has doubled a run across and bounced to the mound in 2 tries. Ball 1.
Rose at first base doesn't have much of a lead at all. You can always measure it here in this ballpark by does he get a foot on the artificial surface. Rose does not.
Yaz really gets off that bag to protect that hole when the pitch is on the way. You got to be careful with Tiant. He gets kind of tricky to first. He can surprise a first baseman.
Here's a fly ball hit back into deep right field. Looking up is a right fielder, Evans, but now will make the catch. Trying to decoy Pete Rose, it looked like, as he took a glance up as if to try and make Rose believe the ball was going to be out of here, and then made the catch.
He sure did. Pretty shrewd play, which didn't work. He's trying to make it look, as you said, Marty, like the ball's going out of the park.
Thing I like about that, too, Tony, is after he decoyed, he still got himself in position to make that good throw. He's thinking all the time.
Here's Joe Morgan with Rose at first, 1 out now. The Reds trailing the Red Sox 5-4 as Cincinnati bats in the bottom of the 5th inning. Dion, perpetual motion out there. Breaking ball is high to Morgan. Rick Burleson, the shortstop for the Red Sox, shading Morgan towards second base. Get a look at the Boston infield defensively. Reds trying to get something going in the 5th inning. Throws a walk, a fly ball deep right by Griffey. And here's the man in Morgan you got to pitch to. Tiant right around the plate with that pitch, but Joe not having any of it. It's ball 2.
Yastrzemski, with men on first base, has some signals with his pitchers whether or not they're going to throw over. At one time, he used to flap his glove if he wanted to throw, if he thought a man might be going.
Again, the short lead by Pete Rose. Tiant needs a strike, and he now goes 3 balls and no strike.
Louis throwing a lot of pitches in this ball game.
Stan Williams, the Boston pitching coach, is on his way to the mound to talk with Tiant, who has already given up a walk to Pete Rose and is 3-0 on Morgan.
Marty, earlier in the year, well, as middle of the season on, Tiant had back problems, everybody knows. He also had a mechanical difficulty that Stan Williams, the pitching coach out there now, spotted on their video corner, their instant replay. He wasn't turning his back quite enough, wasn't getting the velocity, losing his control, so maybe he's picked something up.
He's upset. Tiant is upset, and they're staying there with him. They're trying to settle him down. You saw Carlton Fisk kind of pat him. What you try to do in a thing like that is change the mood, whatever it takes to change the mood, because the pitcher remains the same, but if the mood changes, you got the man that you want out there. Pitcher's upset with himself. He's not worth very much.
Tiant taking a little bit extra time as Stan Williams has gone back to the Boston dugout. The left-hander Burton, the right-hander Pohl continue throwing as Tiant needing a strike. Offers up the 3-0 pitch. Morgan got the green light, and that's something that you will see Sparky Anderson give him at times, but not nearly so much as Darrell Johnson.
Dick Pohl, the right-hander, Jim Burton, the left-hander, throwing for the Red Sox.
Darrell Johnson talking with his pitching coach Stan Williams. Boston trying to protect the 1-run lead. That'll be out of here. So 3-2 on Joe Morgan.
I wonder if he's not relaying the message back to Johnson, the words he got from Tiant as to what might have been the matter, if anything. Used to call Williams the Big Hurt. He is so strong, he would come up behind you and grab you by the neck. You might be out for 3 days.
Shake hands with you, dislocate 2-3 fingers.
So Louis Tiant getting ready to throw a big pitch here. 3-2 the count. Rose breaking, and it's ball 4 high. Uncharacteristic of Louis Tiant, he's given up 2 walks to the Reds in the 5th inning. Now you head to the power part of the Cincinnati Reds batting order.
Darrell Johnson with a decision. Do I stay with my best, the man who's done it for me in clutch situations? Do I go to a bullpen that is young out there right now? Pohl and Burton. He's going with experience.
Well, here's a guy who's not had a hit in the series. The only regular for either club, Tony Perez, 0 for 11. Has bounced to short, has struck out swinging. Perez 0 for 12 in the series with 2 men on and 1 man out. Tiant strikes him off with a fastball, and he missed with it.
Interesting battle going down at first base between Morgan and Yastrzemski. Morgan keeps shuffling his feet, trying to get in the way of the view of Yastrzemski. As Yaz moves one way, Morgan looks back, gets in front of him. I think he isn't thinking all the time.
Oh.
Here's a 1-0 to Perez. Swung on and fouled off to the right. That'll be out of play, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
You can see Morgan back up, as you said, Tony. But the interesting thing about it is, it would be if Perez were left-handed. And there's Mrs. Perez watching the game with her. She usually brings her 2 little boys with her.
I'll tell you, that lovely lady always has a smile on her face. The Reds with 2 runs in the 4th inning to make it a 1-run affair. Now trying to really crank it up here against Tiant and the Red Sox. 1-1 pitch. Bouncing ball hit by the mound. That could be trouble. Play to first base, and they get the out at first. But Rose advances to third base.
Tiant with that follow through, falling off towards first, has a little dribbler go right by him, and a pretty good play by second baseman Denny Doyle. No chance to get Morgan, as you see. Look where he is, on the third base side of second. Fortunately, he had Perez, who does not run well.
So Tony Perez's ground ball, and he's out 4-3. Doyle to Yastrzemski, moves Rose to third base, and Joe Morgan on to second. Here's Johnny Bench.
I got to believe I'd put him on.
I got to believe I got a better chance of hitting than he has.
See what happens. First base open, second and third, 2 outs.
Bench doubled a run across with a long blast into deep right center in the 1st inning that hit a fly ball to left in the 4th. So he's had one of the 6
Going to
Cincinnati
pitch
hits.
to him. Going to pitch to him.
That
Carefully.
they are. 2 in scoring position, 2 down, and strike 1 is called.
He's going to make 3 pitches on that low outside corner, and if he comes inside, it's got to be to keep him honest. There's no way that he's going to give him a good ball to hit. It's going to be the worst mistake in the world, and he just doesn't make those kind of mistakes.
Well, he missed tying away with that pitch. Bench with 3 RBIs in the series. Had a home run here last night to get the Reds off and winging. 1-1 delivery, high and inside. Joe Tiant unusually wild here in the 5th inning. Petrocelli at third had come in a couple of steps to shout something over to Luis Tiant. Now backing up to his deep position at third base for Johnny Bench. 2-1 delivery. Swing and a miss, and he simply challenged him with a high fastball.
Looked like it was out of the strike zone, and Bench with base runners in scoring position is widening his strike zone to try to drive in some runs.
I think that's not a slugger's grip. Look at the little finger on his left hand over the knob.
If he gets any lower, he'll just be having a handful of hands.
Bench with a chance to drive in some runs for Cincinnati. He hits a fly ball. Benitez toward the line, and the red thread dies in the 5th inning. No runs, no hits, a couple of men left on, and after 5 full innings of play, it's the Red Sox 5, the Reds 4. Clay Carroll against Luis Tiant, Boston 6th inning, and Tiant quickly behind 2 strikes to Carroll. Backs him out of there with a breaking ball up and in. Tiant has been on 4 times in the 2 games in which he's pitched. Tonight he has had a walk. He's also singled and scored a run. Strike 3 is called, and plate umpire Dick Stello had to think about that pitch for a moment. That's the 2nd time that he's done that tonight.
Louis doesn't like it. It's a curveball that didn't back him out too much. He's on his heels.
The speech that he makes here is the speech that all pitchers make as we watch it once again.
Yeah.
They say, when I'm hitting, you call it a strike. When I'm pitching, you call it a ball. You've heard it, Tony.
Here's a ground ball to third. Rose stumbles, rights himself, and very quickly 2 down for the Red Sox.
Here's Pete playing way up in front of the bag in case Benitez had attempted to bunt. Pepper Martin. In the chest, off the shoulder.
I kind of believe he might want to get away from those seams, too, Tony. It could be a bad hop. Dennis Menke had one of those around the cutout part, the sliding pit.
Now Denny Doyle with 2 out. He's hitless tonight and 3 times up, and the first pitch is a ball inside to him. Carroll working his 2nd inning in relief, and he's a 3rd Cincinnati pitcher. Norman Bourbon and now Clay Carroll. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ball fouled off to the left. That's out of play. Red Sox scored all 5 of their runs in the 4th inning. Reds with 2 in the 1st and 2 in the 4th. Carroll trying to retire Boston in order. 2 down, nobody on. Breaking ball hit up the middle, and that's a base hit. Hit number 11 for the Red Sox as Doyle punches one up the middle with 2 down to extend the inning for first baseman Carl Yastrzemski.
Carroll does you a favor when he throws that thing. That was just like a high hanging off speed pitch. Didn't get in a very good spot.
Doesn't throw it too often, and I don't know if I'd have thrown it. Of course, it's second guessing with Yastrzemski coming up next.
No, I think
throw my best stuff to the guy up there.
That's right. I want to keep those bases clear for this fella.
Yes, 4 for 14 in the series. He's had 2 hits, both singles, a run batted in tonight. Strike call. Reds infield putting somewhat of an overshift on Yastrzemski. Joe Morgan playing deep behind the back white line at second base. Concepcion pulled toward the second base bag and rose well off the line at third.
Tony, we talked about Yastrzemski's sock on his left leg having the hole in it. He shifted. It's now on his right leg, and it's on the inside. He's going to snap that slump is what he's going to do. That losing streak. See it? There it is.
Pulls it foul down the right side. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I guess.
How ball players get like that, huh?
I was going to ask. I guess everybody's got a superstition when they play. Did you have one?
No, I really didn't.
I didn't either. I know Marty does when he broadcasts. Don't you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Hank Greenberg had a good one. He liked to touch all the bases when he hit a home run. That's what he said.
Jazz tried to go the other way with a pitch and slaps it foul to left field.
Didn't Rizzuto put gum on his cap?
I guess on that little button on the top.
Yeah.
I think he did. I guess the most superstitious of all is Mike Cuellar.
Oh.
He's got him.
Carroll working. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Talked about the Reds infield defensively. In the outfield, they are giving Yastrzemski a lot of real estate in left center. Geronimo pulled well into the gap in right center field and playing him very deeply. Well, Carroll getting 2 quick outs, but now has run into 2-out difficulty after giving up the base hit to Doyle. He will be throwing 3 and 2 to Carl Yastrzemski.
They look like they're trying to force Carl to pull the ball, but that high and inside pitch is a ball that Carl can power to left center field. Did it so well some of his league leading years.
Slowly hit ground ball. Perez, he'll shove a line to Carroll, who gets there before Yaz does, and that's all for the Red Sox. 6th inning, no runs, a hit. They leave 1 man on, and after 5.5, it's Boston 5 and Cincinnati 4. Defensive change for the Boston Red Sox. Rick Miller has gone into play left field, a left-hander replacing Juan Benitez. But Darrell Johnson going to his bench in hopes of getting a little bit better defensive work out of that left field spot as Miller replaces Benitez, and George Foster will open up the 6th inning for Cincinnati. 5-4 score, Boston leading as the Red Sox bid to draw even in the 1975 World Series. Foster 1 for 2, had an infield hit that got the Reds rolling in the 4th inning. Scored 2 times off Tiant in that inning. And Louis all set to go to work here. Pitch is missing outside and high.
Joe, this is the time of the ball game where you've got to wonder with all the pitches Tiant has thrown, running the bases, the pressures he's had in clutch situations, if he's going to tire. We'll watch him closely.
Rick, fly ball to left center field. There's Freddie Lynn under and makes the catch. And as Foster leads off the 6th with a fly ball, the Reds get further activity underway in their bullpen. Young man who has won the 2 games that Cincinnati has chalked up in this series, Raleigh Eastwick.
You know, Tony, watching Tiant work, and just to what you were mentioning before as Eastwick continues to throw about is he tiring, the one thing you can't measure is the man's heart. You just don't know what competitive fires are in there. You go by past reputation. And, brother, you know this guy has got some kind of credentials.
One down, sixth inning for Cincinnati. Davey Concepcion, the hitter, he had a bloop double into shallow left center field, hit off the end of the bat in the fourth inning. Drove in a run, shortens up on the bat and takes a breaking pitch.
Marty Allen Roth charts every pitch, and he tells us that Louis Tiant threw 100 pitches in the first 5 innings, and that's a lot.
Louis getting a new baseball from plate umpire Dick Stello.
I thought Concepcion was going to hit it for a minute. It was hard to tell. He was asking for a baseball or come up with a new pitch.
Check swing foul. A pitch up and in. He was bailing out on it.
It's difficult for a pitcher to be considered a team leader. But Tiant is by many of his teammates. Even though he's a pitcher, sees only 4 days of action. Way inside as the ball really rides in on Concepcion.
Two balls and one strike.
I wonder if that's what Tiant was mad about before. If he thought some pitches were being missed.
Well, he's shaking his head right there. Fisk is asking about it. He turned around and said, you call it on Tiant when he was hitting, call it when he's pitching. That's another old catcher speech.
Concepcion ahead on the count, 2-1, and he pops it up. Second baseman Doyle going out, but Evans calling for it, 2 down. Tony, question, is there a difference in the strike zone, American League versus National League?
Talked to a lot of players who've gone to both, and they all say that National Leaguers give them the low strikes, give them a little bit more of the outside corner. The American Leaguers give them the high strike. Bobby Mercer told me something interesting this year. He said, I was surprised hearing what I heard, that they call more inside and high pitches strikes on them. So depends upon the hitter, the player, I guess.
And the Uris
depends upon the umpire. Yeah, the Uris have them. Every umpire's a little different.
Louis Tiant showing signs of getting it together again. He'll be working to Geronimo with 2 out. Fastball is high and away. Geronimo went the other way and tripled by Beniquez. Back in the 4th inning to drive a run in. Last couple of innings, Tiant has been awfully tough with men on, and especially in scoring position. Breaking ball will be out of play off to the left.
Well, we got a chance here. You know, we see many celebrities. John Gary sang the national anthem. Paul Simon threw out the first ball at Yankee Stadium, and Simon and Garfunkel are being reunited this Saturday night on NBC's Saturday Night at 11:30 Eastern Time. I don't know how you feel, Tony, but Simon and Garfunkel, I mean, that's Ruth and Gary.
Or have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? San Francisco, I think, at Fisherman's Wharf.
That's great that they're coming back. You know, the Beatles got back together, and now Simon and Garfunkel will get to see him Saturday night.
Tiant a strike away from ending the inning. He's 1-2 on Geronimo. The pitcher, Clay Carroll, is on deck, but we mentioned Eastwick throwing. Tried to go the other way again, as he did his last time up, and fouls it off to the left. There's Clay Carroll. Should Geronimo get on, you can bet that Sparky Anderson will once again go to his bench. Eastwick continuing to throw in the Cincinnati bullpen. Jammed him with a pitch and another foul ball, so Tiant continues to throw strikes here. Geronimo wasting them with foul balls.
He's throwing him all kinds of strikes, too, Marty. Inside, outside, changing speeds. He's working on him.
Okay, the 1-2 pitch again. Oh. Swung on, a looper that'll be in for a base hit.
That was a high limb. It was that American Legion high roundhouse curve, and he just couldn't let it get by.
There's a little bit of the hesitation pitch as Tiant stopped with that front foot. A little bit up, and that's what hurt him. He didn't hit it hard. Had it been down, it had been a ground ball.
I don't think you could hear that ball hit the bat. He kind of slung it out there like he hit it off his elbow.
That was a banana stalk.
Sparky Anderson once again going to his bench. There's Darrell Cheney swinging a bat. He's a left-handed hitter, and well, interesting because Sparky has Danny Dreesen, a most potent hitter on the bench, and a left-handed swinger himself, who obviously is saving for possibly a later time in this game.
Probably saving for a man in scoring position.
The 2 outs a factor as Stan Williams comes out to, I guess, go over strategy. Cheney, not known as a power hitter, had a big day in Chicago with a big home run, but he's a spray type hitter.
Very quick meeting, Stan Williams with Louis Tiant. Cheney hit .219 during the season, a couple of home runs, and had his best RBI year in the big leagues. All with Cincinnati knocking in 26. First appearance for Cheney in this 1975 World Series, and Tiant falls behind to him.
Geronimo had 13 stolen bases during the year, caught 5 times.
Cheney with a foul back. It's a ball and 1 strike.
Diaz has gone now, the last pitch anyway, into that fluttering of the glove routine. He has a sign. He doesn't want to break off towards second base to protect that hole and have Tiant throw over. It's embarrassing.
He's getting a pretty good lead, Tony. He's able to get to the artificial surface, but you doubt that he'd be running, although you can't take it for granted. That's a pretty good lead. Watch Yastrzemski.
1 ball, 1 strike, with 2 out and a runner at first base. 2 balls and 1 strike to Darrell Cheney.
Joe, I wonder if the number of times he flaps those gloves might have something to do whether he wants it to throw over or not. There's Darrell Johnson.
I would hardly think so, because you couldn't ask a pitcher to concentrate so much to count the number of flaps when he's got to get the hitter, Tony.
Cheney has been in 2 other World Series for Cincinnati, 70 and 72, looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 8. Tiant draws even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Louis with a lot of different kinds of fastballs. That one he looked like he sunk on him. Came a little bit 3/4. You'll come over the top. It's a riding fastball. You just don't pick up the ball, as you mentioned earlier, Joe. Seems to be on you quickly.
He hides it so well. He just gives you everything. Elbows, kneecaps, fingernails. He's just a tough pitcher.
Well, he goes over to first base for the first time with Geronimo over there. Yastrzemski having to reach back across the runner coming in to take the throw.
And that head fake is what made that play. He went up with his head and then quickly wheeled and turned, and Geronimo had to really scamper to get back.
Darrell Cheney pinch hitting here in the 6th inning for pitcher Clay Carroll following Geronimo's 2-out single. And he struck him out, and that's all for Cincinnati.
Right on the target.
No runs, 1 hit in the inning. No errors with a man left on, and after 6 falls, the Red Sox 5 and the Reds 4.
Here's that last strike. Look at Fisk giving the target. Now watch that ball, how close it gets to that target. Boy, he's got great control. That is a tough pitch to handle, low outside. Fisk gives it to him right there, and he hits it.
New Cincinnati pitcher is right-hander Raleigh Eastwick, and this is a young man that Sparky Anderson went to many times during the season, and he has carried over that pattern here in the World Series. Right-hander from Haddonfield, New Jersey. Eastwick 5 and 3 during the season with a .260 earned run average, and as we mentioned earlier, he has already chalked up 2 victories in the series for the Reds and has a chance to become the first relief pitcher ever to win 3 games in one World Series. Tied 3 relief pitchers by winning 2. The other is Jesse Barnes of the Giants in 1921, Hugh Casey of the Dodgers in 1947, and most recently Larry Sherry of the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1959. Carlton Fisk leading off the 7th for Boston, who leads in this game 5-4. Fisk has had a single, a run scored, and 3 times up. Eastwick giving up the game-tying homer to Evans in the 9th inning last night, and then the Reds coming back to win the game. Here's a pop. Tony Perez waiting.
Mr. Bowie Kuhn. Joe Cronin up behind him. Mrs. Cronin, who is an avid baseball fan, obviously, and she keeps the most complicated scorecard I have ever seen. She records everything. Probably that question that gentleman just asked.
She's getting corrected.
Freddie Lynn, first pitch hitting, a ground ball to Joe Morgan. 2 down. 7th inning for Boston. In the 2 appearances for Eastwick, he's worked 3 2/3 innings, has allowed a run on 4 hits. Had 22 saves in 1975 to tie Cardinal relief ace Al Raboski for the National League lead in that department. Petrocelli the batter, and it's strike 1. Red Sox have out-hit the Reds 11-7. Each club has committed an error. Boston leading 5-4. They came with that good fastball, and I'll tell you, he's got a dandy.
He really threw that one hard. He is just firing good old country fastballs.
Grounded by the mound, but a routine inning for Raleigh Eastwick. He sets down Fish, Glenn, and Petrocelli in order. First 1-2-3 inning of the game. Reds pitching against Boston. In the middle of the 7th, 5-4 Red Sox.
NBC Sports in the baseball world, that starts it off. We begin coverage of Game 7 if we have it at 12:30. And that's where it begins as far as Game 7 with the baseball world. If the World Series is completed, then we've got a big doubleheader football game. 1 o'clock, Baltimore, New England, but Miami and the Jets, Greasy against Namath. 4 o'clock, Oakland plays Cincinnati, and of course Grandstand will be before and wrapping around all the NFL action. That's next Sunday. If there's a 7th game, we begin at 12:30 with the baseball world. Otherwise, 1 o'clock football, but 12:30 Grandstand.
Louis Tiant will work to the top half of the Reds' batting order here in the 7th inning, and Pete Rose with a foul strike on Tiant's first pitch. Rose is single. He's lined to center. He's also had a walk. Darrell Johnson, who has kept the fires burning in his bullpen here in the last few innings, is going with right-hander Dick Drago. One ball and 1 strike. Rose started to go after the pitch. There's Darrell Johnson. Don Zimmer seated off to his left. Johnny Pesky, his first base coach, to the right.
That's Popeye and Needle Nose.
It's like a Disney movie, Popeye and Needle Nose.
5-4 the Red Sox. Tiant has been at odds with a plate umpire tonight, Dick Stello, and again it appeared that he was not too pleased with the call on that pitch.
And he's getting support from Carlton Fisk. Fisk has been jabbering back there, not turning around, but he's getting his 2 cents worth in. And I tell you, Tiant's been around that plate all night. Can't blame him.
Rose trying to get on with what would be the tie and run. He hits a shot, but Denny Doyle right in his tracks, and there's one away.
Gritty, that's the word for that guy. Here's Rose. Look how close in Fisk is to him, Joe. He's way up underneath him almost.
Really
Hit the ball hard.
You know, we talk about not being in agreement and all that, but these umpires, you got to tip your hat. All first time in a World Series, and they umpire that ball under tremendous amount of pressure.
Kenny Griffey, the batter. 1 out in the 7th inning for Cincinnati, and there's Doyle again getting in on the act. 2 away.
Joe, Dick Stello, the man behind home plate, is actually an instructor at an umpire school. He teaches umpires.
Joe Morgan has been on twice. He's both times reached with walks. In the 1st inning, also in the 5th. Fly to left field, his only official at-bat.
Tony, here's your pet play where Petrocelli guards the line to 3rd, and a lot of room between him and Burleson, and I don't believe that Morgan could hit a ball between him and 3rd.
Marty, I'll bet you haven't seen Joe Morgan hit a ball right down the 3rd base line all year long, have you?
I can't remember him ever doing it this season, Tony.
Now look at the room he's got. If he dribbles one between short and 3rd.
He's giving him the left side of the infield. 2 balls and no strikes.
That makes it awfully tough on a shortstop, because if there is a ball with Morgan's speed hit to his right, he's getting no help from the 3rd baseman.
He's not going to get him. There's no way he can get him. And I can't picture a 3rd baseman having to guard the line if you got your shortstop way over.
Well, Morgan content to wait him out. So, as you said, Tiant continually right around that plate. He's not missing by much.
He's shaking his head. He thought that was a strike.
Tiant has walked 3. He has struck out 3. Morgan getting a green light on the 3-0 pitch this time, exactly as he did earlier in the game.
Joe very proud of the fact that he can pull any pitcher alive. He even talked the other day about pulling Sandy Koufax. He said, I can get out in front on anybody.
Tiant has come back to get the count full to him. Talk about Koufax. He was telling a story earlier this season. Somebody brought Koufax's name up under just what you're talking about now, Tony, that he claims he can pull any left-hander, and he said he had a home run off Koufax in the Astrodome to right field. Three-two pitch. He hits one and hit it a time. But Freddie Lynn will be there, and that's all for the Reds as they are retired in order in the 7th inning. 3 up, 3 down. Freddie Lynn making a play on the hard hit ball to deep right center field by Joe Morgan. Took a step in, then broke quickly back on the ball, and when all was said and done, made it a fairly routine play. So it's 3 up and 3 down for the Reds, and through 7, it's Boston 5 and Cincinnati 4. Eighth inning for the Boston Red Sox, who are trying to hang on and claim a 1-run victory over the Cincinnati Reds, and this is the 4th game of the World Series. Dwight Evans, Rick Burleson, and Louis Tiant scheduled batters in the inning. Evans has been a very, very important man to this Red Sox club during the season, and very much so in this World Series. He tonight has knocked in 2 runs with a big triple in that 5-run 4th inning, and an infield hit in the 5th. Eastwick with a 1-0 pitch. Got him going after a pitch down and away.
Eastwick doesn't get too fancy when he's got that ball behind him, Tony. He kind of goes in with a pretty much a conventional direct route into the grip as far as getting that ball into the glove. Shows you a lot of it.
Yeah, I've never seen him throw an off-speed pitch. He seems to be power all the way.
Fastball up.
That's some of the men from the bullpen. The redhead is Dick Pohl. He warmed up earlier. Diego Segui to his left. Man with a mustache to the left side of your screen is Dick Drago. We might see him tonight if Tiant falters. And there's Louis. I don't know what he's drinking there. Gatorade or something with quick energy in it.
Fountain of youth.
1-2 the count on Evans as he hits one into deep left center field. Geronimo there, 1 down. Here's a shortstop, Rick Burleson. He also had a run-scoring base hit in the 4th inning, a double to left center field, his only hit tonight. Quite an impressive figure there. 78 times he has struck out in 2 seasons with this Boston team. 4-1.
Burleson uses that little rubber donut type device in his bat. Some of the players use it who choke up on the bat as he did to give it better grip. Closed his eyes. Well, he thought he was going to get hit by that.
He thought
ball.
he was going to get that.
Sure did.
Whoop. Don Zimmer leaving the artificial turf on that shot to third. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Popeye.
Cincinnati native.
There's a fellow knows what it is to get hit.
Oof.
2 balls and 1 strike. Eastwick trying to do his job, keep the Red Sox with only 5 runs on the board, and hope that the Reds can come back in their last 2 at-bats. Rose glove side. 2 down. Here's Louis Tiant. I'll tell you, they have to respect this guy here at Riverfront Stadium. He put on quite a show at Fenway Park at home Saturday, and, well, he's pitched a battling type of game. There's a Boston Red Sox contingent led by Louis' wife.
She still had that horn or whatever's going.
Talked to a fan that sat near that section, Joe, last night, and they said she was going with it full tilt from beginning until end. Grounded by the mound as Eastwick tried to come up with it with his bare hand. Concepcion makes a play. So the Red Sox are up and down in order for the second consecutive inning against right-hander Raleigh Eastwick. And after 7 1/2, it remains the Red Sox 5, the Reds 4.
Well, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, World Series game number 5. And the baseball world will have Max Patkin. Now, I guess you could certainly, he's inherited from Al Schacht, the clown prince of baseball. We'll have Max Patkin on tomorrow night, baseball world, in game 5. And then Saturday, should this game, 12:30 is the starting time. I think the best thing to do is at 12:30, flip your dial to NBC on the weekends, and you're going to have yourself a big sports afternoon. If Game 7 is around, you're going to have the World Series in football. And if the World Series is over, you're going to have a doubleheader football schedule. And check your local listings. Got some great games up. Greasy against Namath is one of them. And Oakland, what happened to them? Against Cincinnati. So flip it to NBC, and you'll be right there.
Well, there's a bit of encouragement for Louis Tiant, a sign hanging off the facing of the second deck in left center. Time running out for the Cincinnati Reds in this game. Tony Perez opening up the 8th inning, still looking for his first hit. Strike one call. He's 0 for 13. Perez hoping that 13 number proves to be good luck right now.
Look out.
Coming straight back and just off to our left.
Joe didn't have time that time to use his formula, which you have not yet heard, but you're going to right now. Catching pop fouls.
No, he's not ready for it. He's not ready for it. He's got to get some time in the league.
0-2 the count.
Oh, did you see Louis that time?
Well, we get some further business underway in the Cincinnati bullpen. Tiant prepares to throw the 1-2 to Tony Perez. Here's a fly ball hit back into left center field as Miller is there, and there's one down.
He dipped on this one. Just watch his head. Now, if you're concentrating on the man's eyes, watch what happens. He's looking at you. Down he goes. Around he goes into left center field, and here he comes. He's amazing, amazing.
Johnny Bench with one out. Doubled and 3 times up, has hit fly balls twice to left field. Pretty good pitch right there.
And a pretty good cut as we take a look at Will McEnany.
Sparky Anderson has used one of his young lions, Raleigh Eastwick, tonight. Still the Cincinnati pitcher, and McEnany working. Pops him foul, but out of play. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Tiant has given the Reds only one hit over the last 3 1/3 innings at the single by Geronimo in the 6th inning. Throwing nothing but strikes over the last couple of innings, and he has struck out Johnny Bench.
He still had a pretty good fastball left in the arm over the top of the bench. That was a good fastball, Joe.
Yes, it was. And the one he threw before him, he even just matched strength against strength. Bench had a good cut, didn't connect, and he came right back, came from over the top and challenged him. I go back to what I said earlier, Tony. I tell you, when you look, if you could look inside a man, you would have a pretty good yardstick. But the credentials this fella has, you know he's got heart. His arm may be tiring, but he's still coming at you.
Foster with 2 down as you take a look at Louis Tiant. He's had one infield hit. And as per habit, Foster taking a lot of time getting into the batter's box. He's ready. So too is Tiant.
There's one single man, I think, fellas, who kept Boston ahead of Baltimore down through the pressure-packed situation. It's the guy on the mound right there. He gave them some super ball games, and the first game of this series also a shutout.
Strike is called. I'll tell you, the way he's pitched against Cincinnati, I think Darrell Johnson would probably like to be able to throw him out there every day.
If it goes 7, you know who's going to be on the mound for the Red Sox. You're looking at him.
Tiant taking his time does not appear to be perturbed by Foster's stalling tactics at the plate, unlike number of pitchers around the National League. 2-1. Now it'll be Don Gullett going for the Reds tomorrow night in game number 5. He and Tiant matched up in the opening game at Fenway on Saturday with Tiant pitching the shutout. Well, he gave Sparky Anderson the advantage of giving Gullett that one more day extra rest as Tiant pitches on 3 days rest tonight. Ground ball, base hit to center field. Freddie Lynn up with the ball, quickly back to the infield.
As far as we know now, the scheduled pitcher for Darrell Johnson's Red Sox is going to be Bill Lee.
Tell you, Tony, a lot of the Reds players felt like Lee pitched a better game against them Sunday than Tiant did in pitching the shutout Saturday.
He had excellent control, had his breaking stuff going. He held the runners close.
Well, the crowd getting caught up here on the base hit to center by Foster. Here's Concepcion. Davey 1 for 3, a double, a knock, and a run. Standing room only at Riverfront Stadium for the second consecutive night. Reds now with 8 hits. Boston has had 11. Nobody has scored since the Reds struck for a pair in the 4th inning. Tiant works. 4-1. McInerney still loosening in the Cincinnati bullpen. Get down toward the bottom of the Reds' order. Geronimo, the 8th batter, will be up next. Here's a fly ball. That's got a chance. Nope. The right fielder Evans quickly over to make the play, and Concepcion and the Reds are retired in inning number 8. No runs, a hit, 1 left. And as we go to the ninth, Boston 5, Cincinnati 4. The preceding announcement was furnished by Major League Baseball. We're in the 9th inning. Eastwick will be pitching to Rick Miller, who makes his first appearance at the plate in this World Series. Miller coming on in the bottom of the 6th inning as a defensive replacement for Juan Benitez in left. Boston 5, Cincinnati 4. Possibility looms of a 3rd straight 1-run game among the 4 that we've had so far. Miller 194, a batting average during the year. No homers, 15 RBIs. He's a brother-in-law of Carlton Fisk. Call strike. Miller married to Fisk's sister Janet.
Saying a lot, but some consider Miller the best outfielder on this club when you figure Lynn and Evans when Yastrzemski plays out there. Also, he might be the best base runner.
Raleigh Eastwick. Ball is fouled away. It's 2 strikes. 7 straight Boston batters have gone down. Eastwick has retired 6 in a row. Good look at, well, I guess you could call him a baby-faced Raleigh Eastwick. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Joe, are you like me? Several times during these series games, I've wondered what the difference Jim Rice might have been in this series.
Oh, you have to think that. You have to think that. And you have to wonder what's running through his mind. What a disappointment, unfortunately.
Here's Morgan playing back behind second and got enough on the throw to get the speedy Rick Miller. 1 down. So Eastwick continues to roll along as he gets Miller on a bouncing ball to the Reds' Gold Glove second baseman Joe Morgan.
Marty, is Eastwick the youngster? I may have him mixed up. Who was Porter saying he doesn't get nervous, but he's got a brother who does all the worrying?
He's the one, Joe. He's got a twin brother.
And he's the worrier, the
yes,
twin brother.
Not Raleigh. He said that ground ball to second said he has never, ever been worried in athletic competition. Ever. And he is most emphatic about it.
So when he wants to worry, he calls his brother.
Gets him on the telephone.
Designated worrier.
The DW. The old DW.
The old basic DW.
Here's a veteran, Carl Yastrzemski, with 2 out, 4 for 15. 2 hits tonight, including a base hit that knocked in a run. Red Sox bunched him 5 runs, all of their runs in 1 inning, and had 6 of their 11 hits in that 4th. Carlton Fisk is on deck. Yastrzemski.
When he wraps that bat, by that I mean he points that bat towards the pitcher, he gets that cut. Now watch that bat come forward and then around. Whoop. Boy, if nothing else, Tony, that'll get every bone in your body loose. The old days, you'd pop a button on your shirt.
1-1 the count. It's down low and inside. 2 balls and a strike.
You know, when guys swing like that behind the plate, you can feel your mask start to come off, the suction, just like that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you don't believe that. Can I tell you about Tian's father picked the guy off?
Well, Eastwick has been down and in on the last 2 pitches. He's 3-1 on Yastrzemski, who backs away from the plate.
Talk about concentration at the bat. One of the great assets any hitter can have. Watch Yastrzemski's concentration.
Bouncing ball foul back of the plate. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
He has had some different kinds of years. 40 home run years, league-leading years. This year he suffered from the All-Star game on, hit almost 200, but it was due to a bad shoulder. But when it counted, come September, he got some big hits, and we saw the great plays he made earlier in this series.
Stays alive with a foul back. We look ahead at the bottom of the 9th for Cincinnati. Geronimo to lead it off, then a pinch hitter for Eastwick, and back to the top for Pete Rose.
Talk about the All-Star game, Tony. How about that home run he hit in it?
I thought he's the MVP. He got the team back in. I'm glad he's Polish. You're probably...
No, I'm happy he is. I know he is.
He's on with a walk. $55,667 here tonight as we once again watch Mrs. Louis Tiant lead the Boston cheering.
Louis doing some thinking on the bench right now. He knows who the hitters coming up are. The last of the 9th for the Reds.
Here's Tiant. Here's Carlton Fisk at the plate with 2 away. Yastrzemski on at first, and strike 1 is called. The first base runner that the Red Sox have had off of Eastwood. Fisk is singled in 4 times. Towering fly ball. Concepcion calling for it. Foster behind. David has it, and that's the inning. No runs in the 9th for the Red Sox. No hits. No errors. A man left. 5-4 Boston after 8.5. Louis Tiant 3 outs away from picking up his 2nd World Series victory of 75 as Sparky Anderson goes to pacing in the Reds dugout.
Joe, you've caught last halves of inning in World Series competition. What's on your mind right now if you're catching Tiant?
Well, pretty much what you said about who the batters are, what you're going to do, and make sure that you realize that he's still got that good stuff and you don't let your heart, your emotions take over for you. This is where the guts comes in, that if he starts to lose it, you're going to have to tell somebody.
Cesar Geronimo will start it off as Jim Burton and Dick Drago, a left-hander and a right-hander, start throwing. Geronimo has had a couple of hits. You can hear in the background, this crowd wants some action. Swung on, a shot hit down the right field line with a foul ball.
The defense is an interesting one to me, Tony. Petrocelli at third base is actually guarding the line more. You'll see Petrocelli there than Yastrzemski at first base with Geronimo, a left-hand batter up there.
Geronimo bunt very much.
No, he doesn't, Tony. He's not a good bunter.
A lot of times the third baseman will guard the line so he has a better angle at a possible bunt. He is extremely overcharged at third base bag.
Quickly, 2 strikes out in front.
There's Rico. Joe, you talked about a catcher's thoughts the last half inning. I know that an infielder, the Red Sox infield in this case, has a lot more pressure on them right now than if they were in their own home park. When you don't have your last bats, you're a little bit more intense.
On deck for Cincinnati, a pinch hitter to hit for Raleigh Eastwick. Young man who's involved in a very controversial play last night, Ed Armbrust. Geronimo, 1-2, trying to get on. The Reds trailing by a run in their 9th inning. Foul back. Mentioned the two pitchers throwing in the Boston bullpen, Burton and Drago. The Reds also have some business underway.
It looked almost like he was saying his lips are moving fastball.
Here's a pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You see that? Yeah. Close up, he looked like his lips said fastball. He had his thoughts go right to his mouth.
He doesn't want to go to 3-2, I'll tell you. He wants it to happen right here on 2-2.
Well, let's see what happens. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Line drive. Base hit to right field for Geronimo. Tony, it appears that Geronimo has been sitting on the off-speed pitches of T.I. tonight.
Yeah, right from the start of the game. He's got 3 or 4. He's hit the ball hard today.
So there's a tie and run. The Cincinnati Reds dugout. Here's a man who put down the bunt that created the controversy last night. Ed Armbrister, little used during the regular season by Sparky Anderson. He's a rookie. Fine runner. And a pretty good runner over at first base in Geronimo. Oh, it begins to get a bit loud at Riverfront Stadium. Here's a pitch, a ball bunted foul off the first base side.
I wonder what's on the home plate umpire Dick Stella's mind right now.
There's Dick Stello.
A young crew of umpires, all in their first World Series, and things are really magnified, whether you're playing or umpiring at this stage of the season.
Armbrister took a long look down to third base coach Alex Kramer. Petrocelli creeping in from third base. Geronimo at first. Bunt, and it's a danger. Keon on to Doyle covering, and a fine bunt by Armbrister. He did his job. Geronimo on at second base in scoring position, and
there it is. Watch Carlton Fisk bolt out from behind the plate. He has been an excellent bunter all year long, bunting at the proper place. As Yastrzemski had a hold the runner, Rico would have had a better shot, and Armbrister knew it bunted perfectly.
It'll bring up Pete Rose with a chance to drive in the tie and run. He's hit the ball 3 times hard tonight. Once for a base hit in the first inning.
Marty, you've got to think once again of the late inning comebacks that Cincinnati has had all year long.
Tion taking a little bit extra time as he goes to rubbing up the baseball. Will give us a chance to send along our thanks to our statistician Alan Roth, our production stage manager Jim O'Gorman, and our field supervisor Huey McDermott. 1 man out. Runner at second base as Geronimo takes his lead. Tion with a look. 4-1. Talk about your competitors, boy. You got 2 of them going head-to-head right here.
That you have, and you know that in that computer mind of Tian's, he knows what Rose hit every time he's been up there.
Burleson playing games at second base with Geronimo, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Tion, calm, cool, and collected. Stan Williams, the Boston pitching coach. 5-4 Red Sox, 9th inning. Rose looking for a pitch to hit at.
He changed speeds on Rose. This time, nothing but fastballs. Fastballs. Now, Rose is taking a good look at Graham as Morgan was turned loose. What do you do in this spot?
Would you turn him loose, Joe?
I think I would, yes. But I'd make sure he'd pick a pitch because he's got the tying run over there at second base. It depends on him if he doesn't get over anxious. You got to know your players.
Well, let's see what happens. That's a strike, and Rose taken all away.
He must be nearing the 200 mark in pitches thrown. He's got to be a tired man, but Joe, you said it so well earlier. What's inside that man? Now we've seen it. We all know what's inside him.
1 out, 1 on, 3 and 1 on Pete Rose. Geronimo out at second base. Burleson continuing to play games with him. And there's ball 4.
Dale goes with percentages. He's going with Burton, a youngster. But I'd hate to have, well, I'd like to have the experience of Tian out there. Talk about things pulling in different directions. Which way is Darrell going to go?
Well, Darrell is talking to him, and I'm sure the way he gives him the answers is going to decide it. He's going to leave him in.
Going with his best, even though he might be tired. Burton and Drago. Drago the right-hander.
So the decision has been made by the man who makes them for the Boston Red Sox, Darrell Johnson. Tian will remain in. And the hitter for Cincinnati will be Ken Griffey. Griffey strolls plateward. He has had a hit, a double, in the first inning to knock home a run in 4 times. Geronimo began the inning with a base hit, Armbruster with a sacrifice, and Rose with a base on ball. Got him standing around this ballpark right now. Louis Tian, Ken Griffey. Tying run at second. Go ahead, run at first. Ball 1.
Speed at second, great speed at the plate, and at first base from Pete Rose, a guy who can really bust you up if there's a double play attempt. He'll get a good break off the bag as Yastrzemski's not holding him on. We've been on first and second.
Reds threatening in inning number 9. Tian's 1-0 pitch. That's a strike to him.
Tony, I know you mentioned that Bill Lee's a probable pitcher. He's down the bullpen protecting the fellows who are warming up, and he is really a cheerleader when he's down there. He's Drago and Burton.
One ball, one strike. Ken Griffey. Louis Tian. Up high, ball 2, 2-1.
Fisk, as you saw, motioning that he was letting that ball loose high, not following through. Just little reminders to try to pull his veteran right-hander through. He is battling. He's got a battle on his hands.
A big chaw of tobacco in his right jaw. Nods in acknowledgement of the sign from Fisk. Most important pitch of this game about to be delivered. He loses Griffey. He'll have the bases loaded. The winning run in scoring position, and Morgan at the plate. Boston infield looking for the ground ball. Here comes a 3-1 pitch to Ken Griffey. He bounces first base side, and it's a foul ball. As Jazz steps across the line to scoop it up. So Geronimo will head on back to second base. Pete Rose takes a slow walk back to first.
This crowd really coming to life, and the noise just increasing with the closeness of the pitch. And yet the concentration, I'm sure, of all the ball players out on that field might as well be playing in the middle of a desert. Look at Sparky.
Griffey's going to make Tian wait just a moment before moving back into the batter's box. Veteran right-hander has gone as far as he can with Ken Griffey. 3-2 the count. The payoff pitch. Fly ball hit well to center field. Lynn racing back. He will make the catch. What a catch by Freddie Lynn. Geronimo 3/4 of the way down to third, and Fred Lynn has just turned in the defensive play of the game.
This is one super play by Freddie Lynn under pressure as he just turns his back. He had a long run. He lopes after the ball with that great style that is already familiar, I'm sure, to all of our viewers.
He keeps it to the open side. Not once did he turn the wrong way, and makes a tremendous play under some kind of pressure. And Geronimo at second base, 3/4 of the way down, has to go back.
Well, Geronimo, thinking that ball was going to be in there, missed an opportunity to tag and move to third base as the second out is recorded.
That's the kind of play you want to tag up on, because if it does go over his head, you're going to get third and you're going to score off the wall.
His speed, he'll walk
And if
in.
he's on third, you got some chances. With Morgan up, a wild pitch, a balk, a lot of things can happen if you're on third. It's just more pressure for the defense.
Here's a man who has not had a good World Series. Joe Morgan, 3 hits and 13 tries, and he's 0 for 2 tonight, although drove in the winning run last night. He is the last reigning hope for Cincinnati to try and keep the 9th inning going. Tiant delivers. 0-1. Geronimo at second base. Pete Rose at first. Single and a walk got him there. Freddie Lynn with some kind of play on Ken Griffey. There goes Geronimo. Pitch is popped up. And that should do it. Yastrzemski and Boston has taken the 4th game of this World Series. In the 9th inning, the Reds' threat goes by the boards as Louis Tiant is mobbed by his teammates. The win tonight ensures that it will go back to Fenway Park as they defeat the Reds 5-4, the 3rd consecutive one-run game.
Well, the grittiness of the Red Sox show today, hanging tough. Louis Tiant, a clutch hit, triple by Evans. A big inning when they scored 5 in the 4th. But the man again is in game number 1, Joe, El Tiante.
That's a big story. He'll get all the headlines, and deservedly so, because extra pressure once again. His ball club down by 1 game, and last night's ball game, controversial play. And Tiant comes on, and it looked like he was staggering. And yet when he needed it, he really had it. He needed one good play, Tony and Marty. I felt the play by Lynn on the ball hit by Griffey was the one big play that he needed, and he got it. And the Boston Red Sox make it 2 games apiece now, and he is really mobbed. There is Tony Conigliaro, now a sports broadcaster, talking to Luis Tiant.
Well, it's tied up at 2. We go to game number 5. Bill Lee, the left-hander, he pitched a good second ball game up in Fenway Park, and we'll see Don Gullett, 2 left-handers.